Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for WWE Aftershock in 3, 2, 1. World Wrestling Entertainment Discussion is live. Cue host Owen Finch.
Welcome everyone to today's WWE Aftershock Extra. It's kind of like part one, really, of week 31, because we were originally going to do WWE Aftershock Extra, just covering the Cody doc and the Great American Bash, but life's just got in the way, so we're including this week's episode of NXT, because it makes more sense to include this week's episode of NXT than waiting until Saturday to cover it. That just doesn't really make much sense if it's already happened. But I'm Owen the Birdman Finch, and I'm here with
Chris.
And let's just get right into shit. This is a very exciting day. I feel like, you're very excited because, you got to watch the Cody documentary. It was just awesome stuff. I'm trying to find my notes for it. Here it is. This documentary has been hyped up. What is it? It's been like 2 weeks, right? It's been hyped up.
2 weeks, yeah.
I think we had known about it, but Peacock aired like a trailer for it on their end, and then we saw like various trailers for it. Obviously, there was early screening for it because it premiered like in theaters and all that type of stuff. So various wrestling media got to see it before we did because we're not that special, Chris.
No, we're not.
So there was interviews, and we will be covering that too if there's something that, he said there, because he kind of goes into detail about things. But yeah, let's just start talking about the documentary. So we've never covered a documentary on. I'm going to try to cover as many things as possible on it.
Little things as possible.
Yeah. So the documentary starts, and it starts with this great visual. You see, like, Cody walking around like he's walking around the desert. And he walks by all these things. His mask gimmick that he wore when he was on Dashing Cody Rhodes. I think his wrestling boots when he was Stardust. The picture of his father, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. When he held the WWF Championship all that time ago, which we'll get to. And then he walked towards the store, and, it was kind of like a cold open, really. Just kind of giving us a take of everything that was going to happen. It kind of, like, showed, like, a little bit of previews of everything that various superstars were going to say, during the documentary. I thought the way they edited this and all that stuff was really awesome. Cody was wearing like a jacket too. I think this is the jacket that he wore when he came back to WWE at WrestleMania 38 when he was walking around this desert and all that type of stuff. And, I thought it was a really good cold open. What did you think of the cold open?
I thought it was a great cold open. I liked the desert scene. I thought it was really, really good. I liked it a lot. I kind of liked how he went through his like progression from character to character to character, and eventually, obviously, that door represents him leaving WWE.
Yep.
And it was awesome. I thought it was really good. I like how he went through and he like brushed all the sand off because like the desert when he was in the desert, and there's a picture of his dad with the WWF title, and then the mask and a bunch of other like stuff like from his past along the way. I thought that was awesome.
And the whole documentary is narrated by Stephen Amell. I thought that made a lot of sense just because, like, it's Stephen Amell that kind of got Cody really big in the wrestling industry with the match at SummerSlam all that time ago, and him and Cody are really good friends. So Stephen Amell, I thought, was a great choice to narrate it. And they talk about Cody, what his life was like before wrestling when he was young. And they talk about when he was born. And his sister is actually the one that no, it's Dusty that came up with his name, Cody. And they kind of talked about how Cody originally was shy when he was younger, and how his sister was the one that was the more outgoing one. And they don't get into a lot of what Cody was like when he was a kid, which I think is kind of a criticism. I would have liked to have heard a lot more about it. They kind of just talk about him as a child, and they kind of go right into talking about like Dusty Rhodes, which I thought was kind of odd. Like, we didn't really find out about anything about Cody as a kid. It was just like, it was just he was born. He was just a shy child, and then that was it. Like
it must have been just so like uneventful that they didn't feel like talking about it.
Yeah. So, it was, but then what's his sister's name, by the way? Because I know it's gonna come up on it. Tio. I thought it was Tio, but I wanted to make sure. And then they started talking about the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. I thought this made a lot of sense, just considering the fact that it ties into the documentary. It talked about how big he was in the industry during the NWA days and all that type of stuff. And they mentioned that Cody's first memory of his father being in the industry and all that type of stuff was when Dusty put him in the ring at WrestleMania 6. And he talked about how he didn't really know what wrestling was. At first he thought that his dad was like a movie star and all that type of stuff. And they talk about the bond that Cody had with Dusty Rhodes, how they were always really close, because they mentioned that Dusty did things differently when he raised heel and Cody versus when he raised Dustin.
Was retired, pretty much.
Yeah, so...
By the time that Teal and Cody came around, and when he was still an active wrestler when Dustin... He was in the prime of his career when Dustin was born, so he changed his entire parenting style around once Cody and Teal came around because he had been retired. And as a common thing that happens is you see Dusty a lot.
Yeah.
Up until they talk about his death. And then post-death, there's nothing from him. But he's like, you see a lot of stuff from 2014 talking about Cody and whatnot. And they kind of tied that into the documentary. I thought that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was great. I think, because they did a documentary for him, I think, right after he died. So I think that's why...
It was like came out right after he died, very soon after.
Yeah, so that was cool stuff. They even showed Cody when Dusty went into the WCW Hall of Fame, how Cody was there for that, and we will say unfortunately no Dustin at all in this documentary for obvious reasons, which is I thought that kind of sucked. There was no Dustin really. Obviously, because of his AEW obligations, he couldn't really be on for this.
But I thought Cody could have put a little bit more into it because, although not there, Matt and Nick Jackson are in the credits along with Dana Massey, which is Matt's wife. So
yeah,
I think Dustin. I think they could have tried a little bit harder to get Dustin on there.
Yeah, definitely.
The fact that is his fucking brother. I would have tried a little bit harder.
Yeah, but. They talk about they talk about the moment where Dusty Rhodes faced not Jesse the Body Ventura. What's his name for the belt?
Superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah, Superstar Billy Graham for the WWF Championship, and that was the only title shot that he ever had, and he won the match by countout, but he didn't win the championship. And Cody obviously was confused about that. He was kind of upset about it. And I liked, too, how, because Cody would ask about that picture when he was younger. He would ask his dad about it. And he said his dad wasn't happy about it. But he said, because he would champion like Hulk Hogan. And he said, no, you can't really win the title by a countout. So Cody, that always motivated Cody to want to do something. They mention, and then they talk about his amateur wrestling career. They talk about how he did that basically all through high school. Obviously, originally he did other things. He did football and he did, other social events, but mainly amateur wrestling was the thing that, he did the most. He talked about how he was really bad at it in the beginning. The biggest thing that he did was the double A takedown, and that's how he won all his matches and all that type of stuff. And he mentioned that he wanted to wrestle in the state championship. He said he was going to win that, and everyone kind of thought he was crazy. And he actually does win the state championship, which is just absolutely insane. Xavier Woods, you know, even talked about how he wanted to be the one to beat Cody because him and Cody, you know, around the same age and all that type of stuff. And I think
Yeah,
they were,
they both are from Georgia too, so I think they faced each other a couple of times too. Also,
yeah. And, you know, a lot of people, they make mention, you know, he used the name Cody Reynolds, but they talked about how everyone compared him to Dusty, and it'd be to the point where Dusty would get sick of it. So eventually, he didn't even sit front row to watch any of Cody's amateur wrestling things. He would sit up like in the balcony, in the stands, and all that type of stuff. So that way, like, you know, he wouldn't get brought up. He wanted Cody to make it on his own, type of thing. And yeah, Cody won the state championship, and he, you know, was gonna retire from it. He left his like medal at the center of the circle and was going to retire and go on to do other things. And he talked about how his mom wanted him to go to college, but he didn't really want to go to college. Which I always forget Cody didn't go to college every time that's brought up. It's just because, you know, you think he would have, but Cody never went to college. He said that it wasn't going to be for him. So instead, he went to acting school. Him and his sister drove to California. They went to acting school, and this is where they kind of talk about the story that you know, Dusty was broke, even though I think he had it had been you know, long after this had happened, but Dusty had been broke when they were younger. And they talk about, you know, the uprising when it came to that, how the electricity just went out one night, and, you know, Cody knew that basically that they couldn't pay the electricity bill, and, you know, they mentioned stories like how Dusty had to do a car commercial just to keep his car. He didn't even really he didn't even get paid for it. Even though they don't mention it in the doc, obviously there's that one off where like Dusty went to ECW with because Paul Heyman signed him and all that type of stuff, and yeah, Cody talked about it, how they kind of knew that Dusty was broke, but they never even like really told him that they knew. It was kind of like a well kept secret and all that type of stuff. And Dusty revealed that, you know, the night before, just in cash, Dusty gave Cody and Tio $1,800 all in cash, and we found out that there was a call that Cody was supposed to get.
it was a watch.
It was a what?
It was a Rolex watch.
And Dusty sold it to so that way they could you know, make it. And Cody obviously was upset about it because he wanted the watch, but he realized that things had to be done. And they were there for a while. Eventually, though, Cody realized that there was just something about he liked the acting classes. They talked about all the classes he took.
It was the high-line acting school that he went to.
Yeah,
it was very prestigious in California.
And right afterwards, he went to like one of the classes that taught him to, you know, use his background pretty much like in promos, which definitely has paid off for him when you see his promos nowadays and all that type of stuff. And then he had the itch though to get into the wrestling ring, and he drove back. He sat down with his father in person, and his father was pretty much supportive of it. And in 2006, he was signed to the developmental brand in OVW. So before I even get to like now that he's in WWE, any thoughts about the documentary so far when it comes down to all this pre-WWE stuff, like growing up and all that type of stuff?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was really, really good. I thought they talked a lot about like his high school career, which he was like, he became a really fucking good high school wrestler.
Yeah.
And the fact that he went to acting school for like a year and a half, I thought was interesting. And the fact that Dusty had to pawn off his Rolex to make sure that his kids had money to go to college and have money.
Yeah.
Just the type of father that he was, he would do anything for his children. And Cody wanted that Rolex very badly. It was a very, I think he's shown like those pictures of it. It was a beautiful Rolex too, beautiful Rolex. But yeah, I thought they really encapsulated it pretty good.
And then, we should also mention too, like Cody was like famous like in high school, like because of how far he was making it in the amateur wrestling league and all that type of stuff. So they talk about his OVW career, and
it was very short, by the way. extremely short.
Yeah, but the OVW career he talked about how, he never been in a wrestling win before. He never really had a match or anything like that. And Mike The Miz Mizanin talks about it. He says that, he thought Cody was working him because he goes in there and he basically, he takes to wrestling like a fish to water pretty much. He was just a natural. He was doing all this stuff, and The Miz just thought he was absolutely working him and all that type of stuff. And they talk about how naturally gifted he was. Then WrestleMania 23 came around, and it was time for Dusty Rhodes to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he was going to be inducted by his children, Dustin and Cody. And Cody was going to have to give a Hall of Fame induction speech, and they talked about this because, this was the first time that Cody was going to have to do anything public speaking-wise, and obviously we've seen the speech. The speech went over really well, and Bruce Pritchard was impressed by it, and as well as Vince McMahon, of all people. And Cody said it ended up being a curse, kind of, because he knew that he was going to get called up, and he wasn't ready to be called up at that time. But he knew that it was going to happen, and he was going to have to get mentally prepared for it, and all that type of stuff. So that time on Raw came. It was time for him to get, the call up. Obviously, you've seen his debut match. It's he's basically wearing, he's the traditional wrestler. He's wearing the green trunks, the green boots almost and yellow boots that his dad was wearing with the hand-me-downs, and he just looked like the traditional creator wrestler type of thing. And his first opponent was Randy Orton. It's really kind of weird to think about this because I'll just talk about it because this is when I had just started watching Raw, really, because I would, as you know, you've told the story before, but you can only watch SmackDown, really, when you were in school and all that type of stuff. And, this was like the first full year that I really started watching wrestling. I got into wrestling, I think roughly around the time, but right before WrestleMania 23, full time after WrestleMania 23. And, you couldn't really watch Raw at the time. You had to go to bed right after Raw, so I would never be able to watch Raw. And, once the summer hit, I was finally able to sit down and watch full episodes of Monday Night Raw. And the first full episode of Raw I watched, ironically, was Cody Rhodes' debut. I'd obviously watch other Raws, obviously, but I had to watch them afterwards on DVR and all that type of stuff. But it was Cody Rhodes' debut in the business, how we just kind of surreal to see Cody Rhodes' debut. Randy Orton talked about how gifted he was instantly and all that type of stuff, but there was work to be done, and they talked about how they treated him like he was a rookie, so he was allowed to make mistakes and all that type of stuff. So because then they kind of start to talk about all his gimmicks, we'll kind of talk about that all together. Any thoughts about his OVW career, Hall of Fame, thoughts on the documentary from this point to where I'm at now?
His OVW tenure, I think he said it was 16 months from the time that he signed his contract to his debut on Raw, or 6 months, 16 months. I forget what it was. It's in that range. It was extremely short.
Yeah.
Extremely short time in OVW. So, although it came natural to him, he wasn't ready for it yet. He went from, being in OVW and training and all this shit, and then all of a sudden you do the Hall of Fame, you're in front of a stadium full of people, and the very next week or 2 weeks after, whatever it was, you're fucking debuting on Monday Night Raw because the boss liked what he saw.
Yeah.
And it's just hearing him say that he wasn't ready and he knew it was coming is kind of funny. He's I knew it was coming right after that. Right after Bruce Pritchard always said, I knew I was going to the main roster. You think he would be excited about it, but he knew he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
He had to do a lot of learning in those years. On the road practically. Not even through OVW, on the road he had to learn.
Yeah, because he wasn't even really traveling at that time either.
He was, yeah. They were just stationed in Louisville, Kentucky. But yeah, it's just crazy, like, how he went from, I think it was like, he signed it in 2006, his developmental contract, and he was up by 2007.
Yeah.
And to think that, like, 2 years prior, he had just left the Howard Fine Acting School, and now 2 years before that, he had just left the Howard Fine Acting School, and by 2006, he was living out his dream by signing a WWE contract and eventually making it to the main roster.
And he was only like 20 at this time, right? Like
Yeah, he was 20 years old. He was super fucking young. So young. By the time that he had left WWE and when he requested his release, he had been in WWE 10 years, and he was like 29, 30 years old, something like that, 31.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, you wouldn't think that. Usually a lot of the talent don't get called up until they're 30. He was 31, 32 years old, out the door.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just insane. Because, you know, nowadays you're seeing this, but back then it wasn't that common, like, to be on Raw at that age. Like, Paige had to wait till 21 when she got called up.
Paige was 21. I think Randy was 22.
Yeah, so...
so I don't think there's anyone that's been younger than Cody to debut on the main roster and be wrestling. I know Roxanne was the same age when she signed. She was like 19, 20. But she's not in the main roster yet. The same thing with Cora Jade. She was about 20 years old when she signed too.
Yeah. And yeah, throughout this, they talk about a lot how Cody's going to have to get out of his father's shadow and all that type of stuff because a lot of people are just going to think of him as Dusty's kid. A lot of the legends that are on the documentary say that and all that type of stuff. So he did these different things to try to do just that. You know, he did the heel shtick with Randy Orton Legacy. He talked about how he learned a lot from Randy Orton as that heel. It was something different, obviously, because Dusty hadn't really been a heel all that much and stuff like that. And then he did the Dashin' Cody Rhodes gimmick where he did the vignettes and he was pitched to him.
They laughed so hard.
He talked about how he loved doing that and how it got him great heat and all that type of stuff. It was obviously something different too because Dusty didn't necessarily have the looks back then, but Cody did have the looks.
It's basically a beauty gimmick, is what it was, and it was so funny because it would get under people's skin. And looking back on it now, it's so fucking funny. It's so funny to go back and watch those segments because they will make you die laughing. They're so funny. Yeah.
And then he did the unmasking gimmick where he had the match with Ray where he broke his nose. The one thing that doesn't get talked about is he didn't necessarily answer the question whether his nose was really broken or not. He kind of left that to legend type of thing. They kind of left.
I like that though. Like, hey, it might have been, might not have been. I kind of like that.
And he did the undashing gimmick. He talked about how he would give the fans paper bags. Him and Ray talked about the match that they had at WrestleMania. It was crazy to think. I didn't even realize until I saw the documentary that was his first singles pay-per-view match in the company. I'm like, wow, I can't believe that because every other match had been like multi-man match or like
a tag match. He did a tag team with Ted in the stable with Randy. Like there's never been or the triple threat at Mania. There's never been that was his very first singles pay-per-view match.
Yeah, and he talked about how him and Ray just had instant chemistry and all that type of stuff, and Dusty took a picture because he was proud, which is funny because Cody was. This was when he was in the no mask phase, so he was trying not to get any pictures and all that type of stuff. And they mentioned, Cody started adding to it by putting the bags, and the Miz talked about the story where some of the fans would bring bags with them to the venues and put the bags on anytime Cody came out and all that, over the heads and anytime Cody came out. So that was pretty funny. And then they talked about his Intercontinental Championship reign. When he brought back the classic belt and all that type of stuff. And he talked about how he felt like he was on the verge of something big there. And they kind of before we kind of because obviously that's a lot. I feel like the Brandy section should be talked about separately. yeah, your thoughts on all these gimmicks, kind of hearing about the behind the scenes about him. I thought it was pretty cool because you haven't really heard about that type of stuff before.
Yeah, you never really heard about him talk about the dashing gimmick, and it was something that he like was willing to do. Dusty wasn't Dusty for almost the entirety of his career was a babyface. People don't realize when he started out, he was a heel with Dirty Dick Murdoch and AWA, and he was a heel, and then he went to Florida. It was a heel for a little bit, and then turned babyface in the early '70s, and that was the last time any Rhodes was really a heel until Dustin when he became Goldust in '96.
Yep.
And it was something different. It wasn't like him being like androgynous or anything like that. It was him being like a straight up fucking heel. And it worked. He needed to do something that was different. He needed to branch out from what Dusty was doing. Because he was literally just a white meat babyface.
I mean, they didn't talk about it in the documentary either, because of obvious reasons, but if you remember in Legacy, everyone thought that Ted DiBiase Jr. was going to be the one that was going to break out and all that type of stuff. He was the one that was... they probably didn't want to talk... I feel like they had stuff for him in the doc, but they obviously... Because of some...
because of the fact that he's facing 45 years in jail.
Yeah, so I think that's why they tried to leave him out of the doc as much as possible and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, they didn't even I mean, they showed him like in the video, but they didn't mention like one time.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, like so, it was interesting. I liked the talk of him like becoming dashing and eventually the masked, the unhinged version. I thought that gimmick is still to this day one of his better gimmicks. It's super underrated.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't last that long either.
Yeah,
only like 3, 4, 5 months or something like that. It wasn't like he was doing this gimmick for years. He only did it for like a short period of time, but it's still like the gimmick that everyone looks at is like, okay, that was really good. Like that was excellent. And if they had just kept that like gimmick going a bit longer, but he went unmasked again. But he needed, like Cody said, like he needed to go heel. He just needed to go heel.
Yeah.
And change it up, and he really found his groove as a heel. And he was a heel for a long time.
Yeah.
It was like a short turn thing, and then he didn't end up turning face until like 2013 with Sandow.
Yeah, like right, and then that's when we'll talk about, but then that's when he starts like teaming with Goldust and all that type of stuff. So.
Yeah.
So then they talked about his relationship with Brandy, because that was kind of going on. I wish they could have gone a little bit more in detail, like, in his 2012 one when he was like the Intercontinental Champion, because that's really when he started breaking out. But obviously they couldn't fit that into the documentary.
It's only like it's like an hour and 57-minute long doc. If they really wanted to include like a ton of stuff into it, they could have made 2.5 hours, honestly, with all the content that was on there.
But yeah, they talked about how they met Brandy. Brandy got into the business pretty much. She was in FCW. Dusty, took a liking to her and all that type of stuff. And then she got called up to the main roster. She did her first ring announcing stint. And I can't believe I never even knew this story, that this was like one of the first altercations.
It's so
Cody and Brandy. I'll let you talk about because I'll let you talk about it, because I think.
So, Brandy was in hair and makeup and whatnot, and they were backstage, and she's getting ready to go out, and Cody walks up to her and goes, "What do they do with your hair? It looks messed up. It looks messed up. Like, it doesn't look that good." And she's freaking out, like, "Oh my god, like my hair's messed up. I'm about to go on TV." And she goes and sees Beth Phoenix, who was backstage at the time and still wrestling full time, and goes. She like starts talking about her hair, and Beth goes, "Your hair's fine. It looks good." And she goes, "Who told you that?" And Beth, and Brandy goes, "Oh, I was talking to Cody." And she goes, "Oh, that's just his way of flirting with you." And she just looked so dumbfounded. She was like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
It was so hilarious. Like, I can't believe that's the first like real conversation they had with each other.
That was so funny.
Yeah. It almost tops you and John's first meeting, because you didn't even have a proper introduction with each other type of thing.
Nope.
Like, For 2 years, they didn't have a proper introduction with each other. So, but yeah, they talked about their relationships. They dated for a couple of years, and Cody talked about, he told her the story about Dusty winning the belt. She thought that was heartwarming. They show the clip. I'm glad they got this clip in there when they were at a house show, and Cody kisses Brandy. Like, that kind of confirmed the relationship and all that type of stuff. And they talked about how they got married. And then he talked about how he started looking at wrestling as like a family business and all that type of stuff. And this is when, Goldust and him start teaming up and all that type of stuff. And they talk about the Battleground moments. I think we've mentioned kind of the behind the scenes on that before, so I don't think we need to mention that again. Just go watch our Battleground 2013 retro, because it's the only good thing on that show. It's really the only good thing on that show. So,
what a surprise.
And, you kind of watch it, and they talk about it later. That's, like, the last real moments that the Rhodes family had, like, together in, like, WWE. And then they kind of talked about how his career hit, like, a little bit of a limbo after that. Which isn't true. Again, I think if Dustin had been able to be on the documentary, they would have gone more into the tag run with him and Dustin. But unfortunately, because they couldn't get Dustin, because I feel like that's one thing they kind of wasn't necessarily true. They made it seem like right after the Battleground match, Cody just went immediately into limbo. I don't think that's true. Because he still did the tag run with Dustin. It wasn't like he went right into limbo.
Yeah, they kind of ignored the tag run. That was a really good tag run.
Yeah,
and then they ran into the fucking Royal Rumble Royal Rumble kickoff show against the Outlaws, and for some reason lost the titles, and they won a stupid losing streak where Cody lost every match, and then he turned into Stardust.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
Yeah, your thoughts on this bit of the documentary with the Cody Brandy relationship forming, and obviously them talking about the Battleground thing and stuff.
It was awesome. It's always kind of, I didn't know that, like you said, I didn't know that was their first interaction, was him commenting on her hair and makeup. That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the show of them getting married. Yeah, I liked it. I like the fact that they brought up their relationship instead of just saying, "Oh, they were married at this time," and it kind of gives a basis to when they started dating, and when the first time they started talking, and then eventually dating, and then married, and then on to the last real vestige of the Rhodes family there at Battleground, where there's that great shot at the end where Dusty's in the middle, Cody's on the right, and Dustin's on the left, and it's just it's just such a great picture, and it's the one that they had together as a family on WWE TV, because Cody said this later on. He said that Dusty was way, way sicker than he was leading on to.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So then they go into the Stardust gimmick. They talked about, what led to the creation of it, how, surprise, surprise, it was a Vince idea. I don't think anyone was really surprised about that.
Not shocking.
And there was
we kind of knew it at that time, too, that it was a Vince thing.
Yeah, and they talked about the idea, they showed they showed the original design of what Stardust was meant to be, and they talked about he originally had some weird mask he was supposed to have that looked like a condom on his face. I think we've heard that story before anyway.
Yeah, we have.
I think he mentioned it on that Sam Roberts interview that they show later on actually.
He did.
And then
Cody wore some of those attires later on too. So,
yeah, they talk about the Stardust gimmick. He talked about how originally he thought it was kind of cool. It was something different for him to do. They talk about how he really went into that gimmick, really tried to make it work. They show all the outlandish stuff that Stardust would do. They talked about the Stardust Stephen Amell inclusion. They show his appearance on Arrow when he was on that. But then it gets sad. Then they talk about how he started to resent the Stardust gimmick because the gimmick wasn't going to get him to the main event of WrestleMania, doing shit like that. And they talked about how he was getting frustrated. He wanted to rid himself of this Stardust gimmick. I don't think this is stuff we mentioned before. Go watch our early Massasoit Wrestling Corner, like season 2 episodes. We were mentioning this a lot during that time, and he was basically he talked about how his status in the business. He really didn't really know what he wanted to do when it came to wrestling and all that type of stuff. He talked about how he didn't want to quit because he wasn't brought up to quit, but Dusty was even telling him like to quit the business and all that type of stuff. And doing this, I like how they kind of transitioned here. It shows Dusty how they talk about the NXT run that they had with each other, and how Dusty was raising up these NXT kids, and he was talking about how he invested all these time into them. They talk about how Dusty was making the basically the future stars of the business, and that's still being felt to this day with the people that are featured and all that type of stuff. And they talked about how Dusty, they don't even talk about how they even know how the term came up. They just kind of started happening and all that type of stuff. People like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Charlotte all talked about Dusty's kids. And Seth Rollins, I think, was one of the people that talked during the documentary here. Cody talked about how it got to him, the fact that his father's a part of the building blocks of this Dusty's kids, but he's not even a part of it. He's floundering as Stardust. He talked about, too, how it was a tough time for him on Wednesdays for him because he would have to see the future stars be made while his career is floundering and all that type of stuff. And he just talked about how he wanted to get out of the Stardust gimmick, but he just couldn't get out of it. He tried everything he could to get out of this gimmick. And, Brandy talked about how tough of a time it was for her, which is kind of funny. Like, it's not going to be the same anymore because there's a lot of interviews that Brandy does with him in character when he is Stardust, and that must have been torture to have to, remain face and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So, they kind of, they dove into, basically how miserable he was just under the Stardust gimmick, how frustrated he couldn't get out of that gimmick. And I think, Bruce Pritchard was saying, that it's differentiating him from Dusty, so that's why they're keeping the gimmick going and all that type of stuff. And, it was just an absolutely, insane story. Triple H even talked about, he doesn't say it, but he was kind of in a rough spot because him and Dusty were really close as they were around the building blocks of NXT, but Dusty was just frustrated that Cody just could not get away from the Stardust gimmick, couldn't be the talent that he was meant to be, and you could tell Triple H was in an awkward position. Because for a fact, as we see with Triple H's book, and if Vince retired back then and Triple H took over, immediately Cody would have been Cody again and not Stardust anymore.
He would have been. It was hard. It was hard on the whole family.
Yeah. So, because we'll talk about the passing of Dusty in a different section. But yeah, your thoughts on this bit of because this is probably this bit of the documentary is probably one of the bit, right before Dusty's passing, obviously. But this is the hardest bit of the documentary because there's everyone suffering here and stuff.
Yeah, he was. Cody was very depressed around this time period. He had the. I think the match of Stephen Amell comes after the Dusty part. But he didn't want to be Stardust anymore. He so badly didn't want it. He wanted to be himself. He wanted to be Cody Rhodes again. But he was just floundering and floundering and floundering. And just they showed a lot of video of him backstage, and he just looked fucking miserable.
Yeah.
They showed putting the makeup on and everything, and it was he did not look happy at all. And it came through. And he looked just very sad and depressed. And another thing, to go back to the Stardust thing, it was end up they had all those images and everything, and he just ended up being a Goldust clone. He eventually used some of the gear that they showed later on, but it was he just became a Goldust clone, and it's not what the gimmick was intended to be. And it just was really hard on him just to sit there and watch these quote-unquote Dusty's kids come through and take the spotlight. And I forgot around this time period, too, that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and all those guys who were Dusty's kids and girls who were Dusty's kids were on the main roster with him. they overlap by like a year or two, like on the main roster together.
Yeah.
And so it just just seeing how how tortured he was backstage. He did not look happy even in the least bit.
No.
It was very sad to see.
So then they talk about his dad's passing. They mentioned like a day before he just collapsed out of nowhere at his house, and his mom talks about this. And yeah, pretty much he was rushed to the hospital. We find out it was like stomach issues and all that type of stuff.
It was an infection that would that they said, but it was way worse than anticipated.
And yeah, I didn't even know it was this bad. He was like on a machine for like hours and stuff like that. Like
I don't think it was sepsis, but he was having organ failure.
Yeah, and they even said like even if he does come back from this, like it was like one in a chance that he would ever be the same again and all that.
He'd just be a vegetable.
Yeah, and yeah, they talked about like kind of because Cody was in the hospital, how he remembers every moment pretty much from this. And yeah, I liked Cody here. Like he mentions, like in the movies, they show like the heart monitor and all that type of stuff. How it just stops. It's not that way. Like it stops, and then like he's still going like afterwards and all that type of stuff. Like,
but the doctor had to come in and put like his ear to his chest to hear if his heart was still beating and whatnot.
And yeah, they talked about how it was a big hit for the family and all that type of stuff. You know, it shows all of the stuff where, like, you know, at an NXT event where they paid tribute to Dusty, Cody was the one that spoke during his father's funeral, which is just very fitting since he spoke during his Hall of Fame speech. And it's a very good speech. You can probably find it online somewhere. And then... yeah, I think we talked about this. Why didn't Cody come back as Cody after this happened? This is actually kind of a thing I didn't know. Cody was the one that pushed to come back as Stardust this time. He didn't want, to be...
it was masking. If he came back as Cody, he said it would have felt tacky. And it was also a way for him to hide.
Yeah.
And not really show his emotions and just be a character and not be a Rhodes.
And... this is when it goes through the match with Stephen Amell. And they show this, emotional video that Cody cuts, like, right before the match, where he's just crying, talking about, Dusty and all that type of stuff. You can probably find that online also. And, yeah, it shows the match with Stephen Amell. It went off really well and all that type of stuff, as we've talked about before. And then... yeah, Cody was like, okay, so this is a good wrap-up on the Stardust gimmick. Now I can come back as Cody. And yeah, it just wasn't happening. He was not coming back as Cody. They kept having him be Stardust, and he's like, okay, I want to reset now. Like, it's time to reset. Like, the Stardust gimmick is done. And he kept pitching for it. It just wasn't happening. He mentioned this story where... there was a writer that he was trying to get, because he also mentioned many emails he would send asking to not, I don't think he ever sent them, but that he would create asking not to be Stardust, the pitches to not be Stardust anymore. He went to this writer he mentioned, and the writer, just was typing on his computer, and then Cody found out the writer wasn't even, the computer wasn't even on. And he went to Triple H, and he said that he was going to deck this guy in the face, and Triple H had to talk him down. Triple H says, that he has to make his own, make it on his own, make a splash and all that type of stuff. And yeah, Cody was just getting frustrated. He mentioned there would be times on the house shows where he would do the Stardust thing, and then he would fill up his cup with alcohol and hide it with Gatorade and watch the show. And he wasn't getting drunk. He was trying to get fired pretty much. He didn't want to quit, but he wanted to be fired, and he wanted to get out of the Stardust gimmick, and he just could not get out of the Stardust gimmick. And then finally... he had enough. He requested his release because he didn't want, the end of his wrestling career to be, seen in a black hole. So they basically, Cody and Brandy left. Cody even says in the documentary that he didn't get fired. He fired WWE, which is very true. And then it shows that image, from the desert where he walks through that door, showing that he was leaving WWE. And before we talk about his time outside of WWE, yeah, this what do your thoughts on this time period into Cody's career and all that type of stuff?
This part gets very sad. It gets very emotional, and it just like it's so heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah.
Dusty was his hero. Not only being his dad, that was his hero, and to lose his hero and his father is just it was heartbreaking for him, and just to see like that last image of Dusty in the ring waving got me. Just like as the camera was pointing back and he was waving, I was like, wow, that really got me. And I was like, oh my god, like this is good. Like that was a nice way to sort of send him off in that documentary. It was really sad. And just to see him tormented like that. Like he wanted to be himself again, but they kept having him be Stardust, and he was just so fucking miserable. And you could see him like in that time period, like they showed a lot of behind the scenes still, like stuff. And he was just still miserable. He was not himself. Like it was so fucking sad to see him that distraught, and so the company just wasn't listening to him. They had enough listening to him. They didn't want to listen to him anymore. And he was never going to get fired. He was a legacy kid, and he was just never going to get released. He was never going to get fired. The only way that he was going to get out of there and do what he did is if he left WWE on his own. If he essentially quit. And he asked for his release, and WWE, to their credit, immediately just gave it to him. And I think it was, and Triple H said, I forget the exact words, but it was basically summarized as, go and make some noise. Basically, go and make some noise, and we'll bring it back.
Yeah.
And boy, did he ever. Did he ever make some noise.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I think, too, the thing, because it's not in the documentary, Cody talked about this, like, in the interviews from the theater and stuff, because they don't show this in the documentary. Like, Triple H had to talk Cody down and punching that writer in the face, by the way. Like, Triple H had to talk him down.
Yeah.
Like, he was, they don't mention in the documentary, like, he was close to decking that guy in the face. Like,
he was doing anything in his power. To get fired.
Yeah. And, you know, they mentioned this in the doc. I think they mentioned it more so afterwards, but still. Like, Cody walked away from, like, a lot of money. He walked away from, basically he was starting over again. He walked away from basically a way to buy a house. Like, he essentially had to start a family later than he wanted to. But, you know, that's how much, like, he wanted to get out of there at that point.
His mom thought it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because that was a guaranteed paycheck.
Yeah.
Now he's going into the unknown and betting on himself.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, and I think we talked about that. They don't mention the doc and stuff, but he had never been in the Indies before, by the way, either.
Nope.
Like he had never been.
He went from Howard Fine Acting Academy. We'll go high school amateur wrestler, Howard Fine Acting Academy, WWE Developmental, and then Indies. He never did one indie.
Yep.
Prior to his release from WWE.
Yeah, so it's just insane. So then, yeah, it talks about his basically his excursion and how basically he started the Forbidden Door that we know from today. Which, if you think about it, really Cody does start that Forbidden Door thing because he got a lot of luxuries because he got to work Impact, ROH, New Japan, and then like all the other smaller promotions. Like they mentioned like he worked everywhere. He didn't care what it was. It basically drew that company money.
He drew a lot of small companies, a lot of money.
Yeah, and he was working like he wasn't just working big indie shows. He was working shit indie shows also.
He said he would do it in front of 10 people, or however many, or 10,000 or whatever it was, 20,000. But like he wanted to do the small indie promotions, and it was awesome to see. I like how they went into depth on that part too, where it was like he went to Evolve and he went to Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
New Japan, and really honed his craft, Northeast Wrestling and stuff like that. Like all this from the smallest to the biggest.
You know, Kurt Angle, this is where he's a big part of the documentary because he wrestled Cody outside of the company a various amount of times. Because you forget Kurt Angle was still out of the company another year right before he came back. This is like a year
He left
before
Impact. He left Impact, and it was like that time period in between him leaving Impact and going back to WWE that they had that match.
Yeah, so
And it was excellent. That was probably Kurt Angle's last great match.
yeah, but as a singles, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. And then yeah, Cody, you know, yeah, they talk about how big of a star he was in the Indies, how he made a name for himself. He was really getting himself out there. They talk about, you know, how the American Nightmare came to be because he was starting to actually play up to the fact that he was going to be Dusty Kid with bleaching his hair and becoming the American Nightmare, and how different of a gimmick that was to, you know, because it was the complete opposite of the American Dream. Bullet Club, by the way, is not mentioned, but you see the Bullet Club logo in the documentary, which is kind of crazy to think. New Japan footage, you don't really see New Japan footage in there all that much. You see
Bills.
NWA titles shown on there, which, considering the state of the NWA nowadays, that's crazy that's even you know, in there. The ROH, the old ROH World Championships in there, and then yeah, the part of the documentary, you know, that's been hyped up for a while. We see Being the Elite footage with the Young Bucks. And I think it's just the Bucks. We don't see any member. We don't see much. We see a little bit of the other members of the Elite, but mainly the Bucks are the ones that you see. You know, which, you know, is kind of sad because obviously now it's not leading to what, you know, we thought what was going to happen because they've re-signed with AEW, which the document, you know, we'll talk about that on Spoke this week. But yeah, they show, you know, Cody. They talk about All In. They talk about how Cody wanted to create an indie show that was going to draw a big crowd. They talk about how that happened. They don't mention exactly how that happened because Meltzer. That is surprising they didn't get Meltzer for the documentary because I feel like, you know, that would have added a lot to it just because, like, he's the kind of, you know, he makes the tweet and then Cody, because that's how it all happened, because Cody responded to the tweet by Meltzer saying, watch us, and then they drew the big crowd, and it's really, you know, it's really cool. They talked about, you know, All In, how big of a show that became. He basically became Dusty in that sense because he started working behind the scenes. It shows, like, Cody, like, doing production work, doing some of the matches at All In and all that type of stuff. It's cool because they had Ray, so Ray was able to sit down and talk about the backstage environment. It wasn't just Cody that was there. And, yeah, then they talk about how that led to the creation of AEW. I didn't think AEW was going to get mentioned at all. I thought it would just be All In, but AEW gets mentioned, and he talked about how he started another top promotion in the world. It doesn't show any footage from AEW, obviously, but it shows like a media appearances that Cody and Brandy did. And like I think it showed Cody, the Bucks, and Brandy signing their contracts to like AEW and all that type of stuff. And they talked about, you know, how Cody, you know, became like a mainstay player in AEW. Yeah, that I want to say about them, but we should probably save that for a little bit because that's the return to the WWE section because that goes with that. Yeah, what do you think of kind of like seeing Cody's like journey outside of WWE that be talked about now and all that type of stuff?
I liked it a lot. I liked how they did mention AEW by name. I liked it. I saw them signing their contracts. It showed his moments, obviously, with All In and everything. They're not gonna. I mean, you did see Matt and Nick. They did show a little bit of BTE. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I liked it. I liked how they included AEW into it because people online they love to talk like, oh, it's gonna be image redacted, and they're not gonna talk about anything that happened between 2016 and 2022 or 2021, I think it was. Yeah.
Well, he did have one match in 2022, so.
But it's it's his final match. But they showed some of that too, also.
Mm-hmm.
It was just his moments. They're gonna show his moments in AEW.
Yep.
They're not gonna. It's not a Young Bucks documentary. It's a Cody Rhodes documentary.
Yeah.
The fact that they even put it in there is cool.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked that part a lot. It shows them signing their contracts, and it talks about AEW for a little while, and then it talks about him leaving.
Yeah, we'll get to that. The thing that's cool is it's kind of funny because AEW is doing All In. If you think about it, Cody has a claim to the All In name because his sister came up with the name of All In. Like, that's insane. Yeah. I thought that was insane. I thought always it was like a collaboration between Cody and the Bucks, but it was it was Tio that came up with the All In name. So yeah, that's insane that happened. But yeah, it's absolutely insane. It is sad to think because this might be the only time we ever see the Young Bucks really at all in the WWE capacity since they re-signed their contracts. I think the day after the document. No, it was yesterday they re-signed, right? It was yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, but so we'll get to maybe why they probably re-signed. I don't think it has anything to do with it, but a lot of people are saying this is probably one of the reasons they ended up, re-signing. But yeah, kind of talking about like Cody's return to WWE, the build to it, and the moment itself. But again, I just still can't believe we heard AEW mentioned at all, like in a WWE like capacity, and not like in a bad light at all or anything like that. But they took a shot at him or anything like. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
I would say at this point it was good stuff. I would say.
Yeah.
Like, but, yeah. Then it talks about his, return to WWE, and first it talks about his daughter being born because that was also doing AEW, and he talked about like, the father that he wanted to be. And, how he came up with the name and everything like that. Then he talked about how priorities kind of start to change when you become a father. Like, things kind of start to, you start to do things differently and all that type of stuff. And, yeah, Cody, they mentioned, that they actually mentioned this on the doc that Cody was working without a contract in AEW. And, they talked about how they got reported. Brandy, said that was true and everything like that, and yeah, then when Bruce Pritchard got word of it, he got hurt. He basically heard it through the trees and all that type of stuff. He said Cody could reach out to him, and he said like 5 minutes later, Cody reached out to him, and this is the part of the documentary everyone was looking forward to seeing. Bruce and Vince flew to Cody's house to get Cody back. Which Kevin Owens mentioned it, by the way. Like, if Vince, this was the big takeaway we heard before the documentary anyways, but Vince flew to his house. No Vince, by the way, in the documentary for obvious reasons. But, yeah, that's insane. And Cody's come out and recently talked about how they didn't really have a business meeting that much. It was all just about fatherhood and personal life. They said that Cody's mentioned that the business part of the meeting didn't come out until, like the last 30 maybe seconds of the conversation or something. Like the last 2 minutes or so. And yeah, things were looking good. Cody didn't even think it was going to be like a business meeting about coming back. It was just going to be closure for him and all that type of stuff. And they talked about, how Cody, his dream was to be WWE champion, a world champion, something that his family never done. This is where the shot gets made. Triple H said he could stay at a secondary wrestling company with a promotion there, or you could come win the big one. So, yeah, this could be why the elite. This could be why the.
I died laughing. I was like, "Wow, that's not going to go over too well."
Yeah, and it hasn't. lot of people are angry about that this happened. Especially because since the Young Bucks allowed them to use their footage, and then Triple H did that, I could kind of see why people are unhappy. A lot of people are thinking this is the reason that the Elite signed with back with AEW and didn't go to WWE. This could have been the breaking points. So it's kind of that line could have just cost. That line could have, by the way, if you think about it, could have just saved AEW right there. By the way, that Triple H said. So, we'll talk. I'll let you give your thoughts on that. But Cody was he basically left AEW. He resigned, and Vince said they want everything. They want his music. They want everything that Cody did outside of WWE. Which we've talked about this before. Vince didn't do that for a lot of people. He doesn't like things he didn't create, type of thing. So it's crazy that Cody wanted everything that Cody built outside of WWE. The American Nightmare, the theme music.
Basically Vince said in the meeting, he said, let's not change him at all.
Yeah.
Not even remotely. What's broken about it? There's nothing to fix.
Yeah.
Don't fix what's not broken.
And think about it too, Vince, because you could say, Vince was even doing this within his own company. Any NXT talent that would get caught up, he'd change it. This is not long after he completely changed Karrion Kross's gimmick from what it was in NXT to the main roster. Keith Lee is another example of that, where he became Keith Bearcat Lee and all that type of stuff. So, Vince was very well known to, not do that. So it was crazy that's how Vince was so adamant of getting Cody back. He flew to his house and was willing to take everything that Cody built outside of WWE and apply it to his own company and all that type of stuff. Basically, let Cody do what he was doing. Which doesn't, and Vince had no reason to, because Cody, they don't talk about it in the doc. Cody was taking a lot of shots at WWE when he was away too.
And guess what? It didn't deter them.
Yeah.
It's his last fucking promo in AEW was a complete shot at WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Complete shot at WWE. And guess what? A few months later, they fucking signed him anyway.
What was the shot at WWE? I forget.
But it was his the promo that he cut before his match with Sammy.
Oh yeah.
When he basically started, when he made fun of WWE for changing Walter's name to Gunther.
That's right. Yeah.
He was he made fun of WWE and how they changed names. And guess what? When push came to shove, they just threw fucking money at him and he took it.
Yeah, that's insane.
They let him keep everything. They let him keep the theme song. They let him keep the look. They let him, they didn't make him remove the neck tattoo. Nothing. Everything was working. So they let him keep it. It's it's honestly true. It's what was broken about it?
Yeah.
Nothing. It was just a stupid audience at AEW that didn't like him.
Yeah.
He comes to WWE. What happens? It's been 2 years later. He comes out. They still blow the roof off the place. He doesn't get one single boo from that crowd. Not even one. Yeah. And it's been a couple of years. It's past the honeymoon stage. It's long past the honeymoon stage.
I know.
And he still comes up to a thunderous reaction. And I love the shot of him walking through that door again. And his jacket's all torn. Kind of showing that he's been through it. He's been through the ringer. He's done the indies. He's done, the second tier promotions like New Japan and Ring of Honor and AEW.
Oh my gosh, you're even doing it now.
And now, it is. It's not in the same tier as WWE. So therefore it's a secondary piece. Triple H is right. But it showed the wear and tear. And he walked through that fucking door, and it was so. I love that visual. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I think then Yeah, he talked about like you know, how worried he was because like he had been away for so long. He was worried that people were going to like forget, you know, because eventually they don't talk about it because like they weren't even exposed to like this side of Cody really. They only seen like
No,
WWE Cody.
yeah, exactly. He didn't know what their reaction was going to be. He didn't know if they were going to be silent or if they're going to be going crazy. And it's crazy to think that he thought that he was going to come out to silence because it was deafening when he came out.
Yeah, not even just that. He thought he was going to get booed. They don't mention this why because he was getting booed right before he came back to WWE.
Yep.
So, and you know the crowd he was going to be returning in front of too. You know it was like that hardcore crowd, so they watch AEW and all that type of stuff. And yeah, they talked about like how things didn't go to plan with Seth Rollins, so this ended up working out. I wonder what the plan for Seth Rollins would have been had Cody not come back. Like,
I have no idea what it was, but and the thing too was, and Seth kind of said this recently. He said that in that time period before the Cody match, he was super frustrated. He was incredibly frustrated with the direction he was going in. He was directionless. So he was getting very mad backstage. And I think that's kind of what led to him, like, with the Cody thing, just being like, not really, not heat with each other, but like getting off on the wrong foot type of deal.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of interesting to think, like, I mean, obviously, there's what would have happened with Seth Rollins, like, you know, had Cody not come back because it gave Seth Rollins a direction again, type of thing. So, and yeah, they talk about the media return. Kevin Owens mentioned in the doc that like he's friends with Cody Rhodes. He had a feeling he was coming back, but Cody wasn't really giving him much information. He said he's on the bus, and yeah, that pop hits. And yeah, he got like the thunderous ovation that we talked about. And
I will say too. I knew right away when that bump hits. I knew exactly who it was.
Yeah.
Like just watching that like live. Like I mean, we all knew it was Cody.
Yeah.
We all knew it was Cody. There was no way it wasn't going to be Cody because there was so much speculation. There was so many rumors going around that Cody had signed, and then he was, and that he was having second thoughts about coming back, and then he was going to not come back. I was like, that seems like bullshit.
Do you remember the rumor that when Tony Khan bought ROH, everyone thinks that Cody was going to be like leading a revolution of like an Asian face?
That was so funny.
Like AEW fans were like reaching they wanted Cody to come. I like how they booed him out of the building, but like they were like, oh no, we don't want him to leave, we don't want him to leave, we don't want him to leave all of a sudden.
He's gonna lead the charge of for the ROH group. But then as soon as that beat hit, that bump, I knew it was him. And it's like they're not gonna fucking play the song and then have Cody not come out.
Yeah,
like that would have been like the ultimate cock tease. And it's just like, here comes the masked jobber coming out or whatever. Like it was Cody. It was Cody they said the contract wasn't finalized until 2 weeks before WrestleMania, which was true.
Yeah.
But it's one of the best, or if not the best, return in WWE history. From the reaction to the match itself, like everything was perfect.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, by the way, too, all those fans at WrestleMania that were cheering him, they were booing him in AEW like 2 months ago, like months ago. Like, it's crazy. Like,
it was a wild thing that happened. Like, it was crazy.
I have to tell you, because I think Dynamite was in Boston, like, the following Wednesday. All the fans, by the way, were like, "Oh, Cody's a traitor. He left us. He went back to WWE." Like they were all saying Cody was a traitor and all that type of stuff. Like,
yeah, they were. They were furious.
Yeah.
They thought they had this storyline built up in their head that Cody was gonna be leading the charge for the Ring of Honor group, and he was gonna be in Ring of Honor, and he wasn't gonna be on, and he was gonna stay in WWE. And I'm like, that just like doesn't seem like something he would do.
Yeah.
That just seems so far fetched and so fantasy booking.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? By the way, like we'd never see Cody if you think about it, because he'd be stuck on Honor Club for like the fucking forever. Like,
oh yeah.
I
mean, even he said that when he left AEW, it wasn't money, it wasn't control, it wasn't anything to do with the Bucks or Kenny or the Elite. It was I think he said, if I'm remembering correctly, it was a disagreement with Tony Khan. He said he had a disagreement.
Yeah.
With or it was like a, it was something to do with Tony Khan.
We don't know what.
It wasn't money. It wasn't. I think it was like creative differences or something. I forget what he said exactly, but it was an issue that he had with Tony, which is fucking obvious because if he didn't have an issue with Tony, he'd still be in AEW to this day.
Yeah.
But he made the decision, and the decision single-handedly changed the fortunes of WWE because it gave them a legitimate fucking star to build around. And you have the best storyline for it too. It's the returning star. It's the returning Cody Rhodes as a fucking star, not as dashing Cody Rhodes or
Stardust or Unmasked Cody
or the Masked Cody. It was fucking Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare.
Yeah,
and you were getting the complete and finished product.
Mm-hmm.
A veteran of the industry. A guy who went out in the indies, went to New Japan, went to AEW, went to Ring of Honor, and kicked ass.
Michael Cole mentioned that when doing the doc, like he came back, he left a boy and came back a man in the business type of thing. Like
he did. He was still relatively a young pup, we'll call it. 20, 29, 30, 31, in that range. He was very young.
Yeah.
I think he was like 30 because I think when AEW started, he was 32.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to come back. Your goal in wrestling, as a professional wrestler, as a sports entertainer, whatever you want to call yourself, it's the same goddamn thing. Your goal is to be a WWE champion. You want to be the WWE champion. And that was Cody's goal from when he was a tiny little kid, was to be the WWE champion. And for him to come back at WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes,
against Seth Rollins
is crazy. It gets you giddy. Like,
yeah,
it got me giddy again just seeing it. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, wow, like, it's still unbelievable this day that even when I see him now on Raw, watching Raw every week, I'm like, that man was in AEW and now he's here. Like, he's in WWE. It's like, wow, he actually did it. He actually made the ballsiest move in, I can't even tell you how long. Maybe since Hall and Nash and Hulk Hogan going to WCW.
Yeah.
That someone made that ballsy of a move. And
I think it's insane.
And it worked out.
Yeah. Because if you think about it, nobody really talks about this. He could have stayed in AEW and, it's still been like a fixture of the company, be an EVP, building up that future of the industry. Like, he was going to be fine in AEW. Like, booking-wise, not so much, obviously, but he was going to be fine in AEW. Money-wise and everything like that. Like, if you think about it, he took a gamble, like, going back to WWE. And we've seen before, like, when you go back to WWE when you've been in a competing company, like, Vince doesn't take that very well, typically. See Stin at WrestleMania 31, when he came into WWE and lost his first match at WrestleMania. Like, that's a big gamble to, like, say, because he was kind of walking into enemy territory backstage and everything like that too. Like, and we talked about this. Like, it was a huge get for WWE. It was a huge loss, and it's still being felt for AEW. Cody leaving AEW. Because Think about all the talent, by the way, that Cody brought in isn't being featured on AEW anymore. Not even featured. Most of it's leaving, and in droves that Cody signed. We just see recently Fuego del Sol just mentioned that Cody, like Tony Khan didn't believe in him like Cody did. Brian Pillman Jr.'s gone. That Nightmare Factory, by the way.
He's about to be at the end of this month. It's August 3rd. By the end of this month, BPJ will be a WWE superstar.
Yeah, and you're seeing like you talked about it. I think what's going to happen is that Nightmare Factory is going to roll right into the Performance Center now, like type of thing. Like because before it was the other way. Yeah,
a lot of their talent, like a lot of the kids that they're training there, it's going to be a pipeline. It's going to be okay. Here's the Nightmare Factory. Boom. Here's the Performance Center, NXT main roster.
Yep.
I don't think that they go. I mean, Dustin and QT still go there, so maybe there might be some that divert and go there. But I think they'll see. Boom. There's the pipeline right there from the Nightmare Factory to the Performance Center to NXT to the main roster.
Yep. So yeah, I feel like I really can't get. Well, the only thing I could give you thoughts on is Triple H's comment about AEW type of thing, because that's the big take. Because everything else you kind of said what you would have said, but what's the big take? That's the big takeaway right there.
He's not wrong. And I said it already. It's not on the level of WWE. AEW is. I will say they're close. It's just they're not there, and they are a secondary promotion. It's not an insult. It's a fact.
Yeah.
WWE is the main stage. And New Japan and AEW / Ring of Honor now are secondary. And it's true. In Impact, I can lump that into in there. They're secondary. And I don't think that's the reason why the Bucks re-signed. From what I read, it's that they were very torn, and it was back and forth, and it was going to be a majority vote, and the majority voted AEW, so they stayed in AEW instead of going to WWE. And it wasn't like, they were never going to go to WWE. It was close. It was very close, and they voted together. Hangman, the Bucks, and Kenny all decided what they wanted to do. And they all decided that they wanted to stay in AEW, and that was the majority vote. But it wasn't like an automatic, they resigned. It was close. They were very, very close to going to WWE because their contracts were up at the end of this year, and Hanger's contract was up in February. So, and if they decided WWE, it would have been game over for AEW.
Yeah, like I know you're not happy. You wanted them to be in WWE, but I think for the state of the industry, it was probably best for them to go to, and for AEW, it was probably best for them to go to.
It was best for AEW for them to stay.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Best but we need that. But we need that alternative in wrestling, like with AEW, and I feel like AEW gives people because WWE can't sign everybody. And AEW, you get a lot of money there and all that type of stuff. So I think it was best for the industry for the Elite to stay with AEW.
Yeah, for AEW's sake, they should be fucking resting on their laurels that they resigned, because it wasn't as close as people thought.
Mm-hmm.
They were very, very extremely close to going to WWE. All four of them. So it was just they should thank their lucky stars that they resigned, because if not, I don't know what the fuck they would have done.
Yeah,
because you lose 3 of the 4 EVPs. Who the fuck replaces them?
Yeah,
in the office. That's on top of that, you have to replace a main eventer and your best tag team.
Yeah, and
so how do you do that?
Not even just that, like all the talent that AEW that they would have signed would have followed them too. Like it would have been.
Yeah. It would have been just a mass exodus.
Yeah. So
So it was great for AEW that they decided to stay. They needed that. They needed them. WWE would have loved to have them. It would have been something different. It would have been something new for them. But they chose to stay, and in the end, I think that's a big coup for AEW to keep them.
Yeah, especially too because MJF's contract's up, Scorpio Skies, and Andrade El Idolo's. We said before, they would be okay if the Elite, all that talent couldn't leave. They would have to three of them would have to stay, and I think if the Elite, since the Elite are staying now, if they lose MJF, Andrade El Idolo, and Scorpio Sky, and that will hurt them pretty bad too. But I feel like they'd be able to recover from it now, pretty much.
Yeah, now they can. Yeah, they can recover from it now.
Yeah. But yeah, so they talked about his return. They mentioned they went behind the scenes on the promo that he cuts on the Monday Night Raw afterwards and all that type of stuff. And they mentioned how they had everything was going well for Cody, but then the pec happened. He doesn't go into detail how he tore his pec really. He does go into detail about it in interviews. He said that there was a kid that was kind of looking at him Spawn, and Cody tried to. It was kind of like an ego thing. Cody tried to show that he could lift all this weight, and obviously it wasn't to be. He mentioned that the kid was really good about it, though. He helped Cody light away and all that type of stuff. And they talked about the torn pec. He tore it 3 days before the pay-per-view. They were thinking at first they were going to have to get a replacement because Cody was the the Cody and Seth was the seller point, if you remember. That was the whole thing that the show was built around. Because if you remember, that was the first pay-per-view no Roman Reigns defended the belt that night, if you remember. I think that's right when Roman signed his part-time contract. I think it was around that time.
Yeah. So
that was a selling point. And it was, if you think about it, it was Cody's first main event match as a singles. On a pay-per-view. And yeah, Cody, he comes out, and we find out that he can't be injured anymore. It looks really bad. It shows footage from it. Corey Graves mentioned that when he saw that shot for the first time, that commentary call was genuine. He hadn't seen Cody at all during the day and all that type of stuff. And yeah, I'm just remembering it I remember everyone was really hot for the match, and then when the second Cody takes his jacket off, that dull in the crowd and all that type of stuff, and just the emotion. I still remember watching that to this very day type of thing.
That was insane.
Yeah.
Just seeing and it was very indicative too. When you have an arm injury like that, you can't lift your arm.
Yeah.
So when he came out, and because it had been rumored for a couple of days. It was I think it was Friday. They took him off the road. They're oh, Cody has a bicep injury. And I was, no, he doesn't. That's a lie. He doesn't, he's not hurt. And they, when he came out and did the fucking entrance and he does the one arm by the side and the other arm out, I was okay, that's serious. Because usually, the whoa, he does the two arms, and it's okay, that's fucking, that's significant. And then when he took the Velcro off, and I saw the redness, you saw the redness in the pec before, the little peak of the redness, I was oh shit. I'm that's not good. That's not good at all.
Yeah.
And then when he took the jacket off, I was holy shit. I was wow. And that wasn't fake. That wasn't paint or anything. That was that's what happens when you tear your bicep.
Yeah. When
you tear it clean off the bone like that, all that redness and shit, that's all real. And I was I sat there for a second. My fucking floor, my mouth was on the floor.
Yeah, me too.
I was holy shit. I'm that's not good.
Yeah.
And it was like, even Corey Graves was like stunned.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe it. And because they even announced it on commentary, like, they have been talking, this has been rumored for a couple of days now,
Yeah.
that Cody was hurt. But we didn't know the severity of it. And just to see him that way, it was like, it was a stunning visual
Yeah.
to see. It was very jarring, and the crowd was like, and Corey even said this too. He's like, it was like you could hear a pin drop. That's how quiet it was. Everyone's jaw was on the floor.
Yeah.
And to see him go through that match was crazy. And there was one point in the Hell in a Cell match where he did the Cody cutter, and Eddie, the referee, came over to him, was like checking on him, make sure he was okay. He almost had to call at one point because he almost threw up in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
He was so close to. He was like seconds away from puking in the ring after he hit that Cody cutter.
Yeah, it kind of it adds a different perspective to the match, because when the referee kept asking Cody like if he could continue, that was like legit. That wasn't like one of those
Yeah.
Like,
that wasn't one of those fake things where it's like in the ring and the ref goes, "You alright?" Like after he takes like a fucking suplex in the ring. Like, "You alright? You okay? Yeah, you okay?" No, this is like legit. Like Eddie was making sure that he was getting signals from the back through his earpiece to check on Cody all the time to make sure he was okay.
Yeah.
And Cody toughed through it. And he even said, like, after the match, like, this is the most pain I've ever been in. Like, I put a brave face on, but, like, this fucking hurts.
Yeah.
Like, this is the most pain I've ever been in my life.
Seth Rollins even said, like, he probably lied, like, how hurt he really was. And yeah, Vince approved of it, and it's not what I know. I say this like it sounds like a negative, but like Vince, after that, I think had Vince stuck around, he became like a big Cody fan. Like right after that, pretty much. Like he was.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, he was before, but at that moment, I think he knew he had like a main eventer there. Like, you know what the funny thing is too? What's so fucked up about it? That match would not have worked in AEW with Cody, by the way. They would have booed the shit out of that match, type of thing. Like, they would have too, by the way. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
And yeah, Bruce Pritchard mentions it like they had like a star at that point. That was a star-making performance. And then it kind of goes through like the road to his recovery. He gets a surgery and everything like that.
And then they do every fucking time, and it's so gross, is when they fucking show the surgery being done.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is. I'm like, oh my god, this is not what I want to see.
And then, you can forget too, because Brandy's had this same injury before too, like in the Indies and all that type of stuff. So, not to probably this severity and all that type of stuff. And then, it shows Cody's road to recovery. It shows him like giving a speech at the Nightmare Factory, and one of the guys asks him like, "How do you come back from an injury like that?" And Cody didn't really know how to answer that question. It shows him like recovering. They talked about like the worrying signs, like, are you going to be as over as you once were? Like, because you've been out of the ring for so long, can you come back and do this at the same level? Because this was Cody's first like big injury that he had in the business and all that type of stuff. Which I don't think that's true, because wasn't he injured before? Not Full Gear, Double or Nothing, the first one, because he had like knee surgery.
I don't think so.
Because he was on crutches at one point, so doing like the Road 2s. If you go back to watch the Road 2s before Double or Nothing,
It could have been a cleanup.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so because if you remember, they didn't mention in the doc like the business had changed a lot since Cody, which is crazy to think. It wasn't even a year, and the business had changed so much because Vince retired for like a cup of coffee. Sami Zayn in his absence got so over to the point where people were clamoring for him to dethrone Roman Reigns and all that type of stuff. Like, the business was getting hot. A lot of people were just getting over at this time, where I think it was going to be worrying if Cody was going to be able to maintain his popularity and all that type of stuff. You know, because it could be one of those things. The business could have moved on without him, type of thing, all that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
A lot of people worry because there's those people because Triple H are taking over creative, and he might have held a grudge from when at Double or Nothing when Cody destroyed the throne and all that type of stuff. They were kind of worried like what Cody's career was going to be like now that Triple H was the one running the ship and all that type of stuff. And yeah, it shows Cody training, and who did he train with? It was none other than Carmelo Hayes, which is insane. I didn't even know this. Like, Carmelo Hayes was the person he'd had, like, his medical evaluation with, pretty much, and all that type of stuff. And I feel like, too, that it obviously did wonders for Carmelo Hayes' career, because, look, he was champion pretty much shortly after that. So, yeah, then we had the return, and, Cody talked about how he was main event in WrestleMania for the first time. He mentioned, though, that his mom and sister couldn't be there because they had a wedding that day. It was his mom's granddaughter's wedding. So this would be like one of Cody's like niece or nephews type of. Cody's niece then, right? If it's his mom's granddaughters, I think. I think that's the case.
I don't know if she had kids prior.
Oh yeah, because her and Dusty had a kid with another person.
Yeah, I think Cody has two older. Well, Dustin and then I think another sister.
Okay.
I think he could just have his Dustin and that's it. But I think he has an older sister too, another sister.
And yeah, they talk about like some more of the documentary. Kind of talk about what into.
He has a sister.
Yeah. Okay.
Kristen.
But yeah, they talked about what went into the documentary. It showed like, Cody taking Liberty around and showing her WrestleMania. We've seen various clips of this before. And then, yeah, he talked about like how he's gonna finish the story. And then, as we know, he didn't finish the story yet. Cody was pissed afterwards. He was pissed he didn't get the belt. Yeah, they kind of wrapped this up, though, saying, though, like, Triple H, they even had to go remind Cody, like, he made an event in WrestleMania because he saw how pissed Cody was. He didn't get the belt and all that type of stuff. And, Triple H had to kind of talk Cody down a little bit and all that type of stuff. And then, afterwards it kind of cuts and, it just basically says, like, how big of a star Cody became. And it kind of wraps up the doc. But it looks like we might get a part 2 because during the premiere, they mentioned that we're still filming this, so there might be a part 2 to this. I don't know what you can do as like a part 2 though, because there's a lot to do there. Yeah, your thoughts on this bit, the end of the doc, and all that type of stuff.
I loved it. It was great. It was really, really good. I like how they closed it out and everything. I liked it a lot.
It was so tough to watch that match with Roman though, knowing like he's not getting the belt now, like. It
could be filming now until Mania next year. Who knows?
Yeah.
He also said that it was interesting, like about him not winning the belt. It's like he can't physically hand it to Dusty, so like he doesn't really see the point in winning it and like giving it to Dusty because he can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
He like said that at one point in the doc where it was like even though he lost. Like, he can't physically, even if he won, he couldn't physically hand the title to Dusty like he wanted to.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great. It was a great documentary.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. All the big players were there that you expect to be there talking about Cody. The only ones that really weren't, like we said, were Dustin, Vince, Ted DiBiase Jr. for obvious reasons. And Roman didn't talk at all during the doc. Like I thought he would have. It's a fantastic documentary though. After this doc, he's got to win the belt like soon. No, not soon, obviously, but like by WrestleMania next year now. Like I feel like it's gonna be odd if this doc airs and then he doesn't win the title like within a year.
Squash at WrestleMania.
Squash the Bloodline gets back together for no reason. But This dog's fantastic. I'm giving it the S rank. It breaks the scale. The scale's so broken, you might never be able to put it back together ever again. What are you giving this dog as a letter grade?
I give it S. I give it an S tier. This is like, it breaks the scale. This is a great documentary.
Yeah.
I know those secondary promotion comments are rubbing people the wrong way, but I don't fucking care.
Yeah, it's a fantastic dog.
It's fucking great. Yeah, and it just doesn't cut off at fucking WrestleMania. Like when he returned at WrestleMania, like it just doesn't cut off there. They talk about like the Rumble, his comeback, the Rumble, then Mania. I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it a lot. It was great. It was fantastic. It's a great documentary. You just have to go out and watch it. It's fantastic.
And so just fantastic stuff. I'm glad we talked about it first because this video is over an hour and a half. It's an hour and 35 minutes right now. I mean, I still haven't even talked about Great American Bash or NXT. I bet everyone's thinking, like, well, you gotta talk about some actual wrestling. Like, we don't want to hear about people. We don't want to hear about a documentary. We want to hear actual wrestling talk. So,
wrestling.
Do you want to take us through? Do you want to take us through Great American Bash from?
No, I don't actually.
Past Sunday. Well, can you take us through Great American Bash from this?
No, I can't.
Why can't you?
I'm blind.
Well, I don't know what to do. Like, just think about it.
Okay, I'll do it. Okay. So Great American Bash. It just happened recently for us on Sunday. It was a great show, and the show kicked off with a 8-person tag, I believe. Yeah, 8-person tag. It was the Heritage Cup champion Nathan Frazer, Dragon Lee, Yulisa Leone, and Valentina Feroz, and they faced off against the Meta-4. I felt like this was a solid pre-show opener. First time in fucking forever they actually had a match on the pre-show.
I know.
On any WWE pay-per-view. It was good. It was a pretty good opener between Nathan Frazer and Dragon Lee and Oro Mensah and Noam Dar. It was a great tag team match between them because the other 4 sucked.
Yeah,
you could have fucking done without Yulisa Leone and Valentina Feroz and Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend because they all suck.
Yeah.
They're fucking awful. They're horrific. They're brutal to watch in the ring. But the faces won, and it's a pretty solid opener. I thought it was a pretty good opener.
Yeah, this was decent stuff. I gave the match like 2 stars. Obviously, this is gonna sound bad, but the woman won the match down really bad. This should have just been.
They really did. When the guys were, and that's not like a. It's not like, oh, you hate women's wrestling, because we don't. We genuinely like it.
Yeah.
It's just, these 4 suck. They suck.
Yeah. I also, even though Dragon Lee gets the pin, what pissed me off is he didn't do anything really that memorable in the match other than him getting the win. The thing that pissed me off, he's the one that gets the heat in the match. Like, why did he didn't get the hot tag? He didn't even get the hot tag. I think
I could have got the hot tag.
Yeah, so that kind of pissed me off. But yeah, I give the match like 2 stars. What would you give this match?
I give it 2 stars too, mainly because it kind of catapulted Dragon Lee out of the. Finally, by the way, I might add.
Yeah.
It's going to catapult him into. I'll just say this now. He had a backstage segment with Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley called him Batman, which was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Before I have you move on, other things that happened on the pre-show. Dirty Dominic Mysterio was supposed to get interviewed, but Rhea Ripley came out instead and said that he's going to retain his title because Mommy's always on top, and she just kind of left, and Mackenzie Mitchell did not look like she liked that line very much. She was kind of mad at it.
Poor buddy.
Huh?
Poor buddy.
I know, he's just, yeah.
Getting cuffed.
And he has to keep hearing about it. He has to hear about it on Collision, and he has to hear about it on, WWE programming. And then Baron Corbin get interviewed and said that he's going to absolutely expose Gable Steveson, once we get into that. There was a panel. The panel consisted of Matt Camp, Megan Morant, and Sam Roberts. They did pretty well on the panel. Megan Morant, though, screwed up. She inadvertently called Sam Roberts the last professional journalist, and Sam Roberts immediately corrected, said broadcaster. There's a difference. There's a difference apparently. And yeah, like that. She looked kind of mad that he corrected it. That corrected it too. Like it's just
Well, because he's a heel and she's a face, and she like be corrected.
Yeah, and the commentary team for both ends were Booker T and Vic Joseph. This is also what brings down the kickoff match. Booker T was all over the place during the kickoff match. You didn't know what he was talking about half the time. Like
Jesus Christ.
But like
all fucking place.
But like he just randomly yelled out, "Scotty, what's going on?" Like it's a guy Scotty in the crowd. Like we were supposed to know who he is and all that type of stuff. Like he went into Black Snow during this match at some points, and then oh my god, this was the best part. He forgot the rules of a mixed tag match. He didn't know the rules of a mixed tag match. And Vic Joseph was like, "You're gonna get a lot of hate on the internet for that one." He forgot the rules of a mixed tag match. It was hilarious. It was awesome. Like. It wasn't good. Obviously, it wasn't good commentary, but this Booker T was all over the place.
It's never good commentary when it comes to Booker T.
I don't know what was up with him. Like I don't know if he was just happy to be back in his home state or whatever. But like, I think he took a bunch of drugs or something before he came to this pay-per-view. Like he was all over the place, dude.
He was very much so all over the place.
Yeah, I think there'll be more that we'll talk about when it comes to that. Like,
the opening match on the actual show, it was Tony D and Stax, the family, versus Gallus.
Don't forget, they show a nice intro where Cody does like an introduction of the Great American Bash.
Cody just did a nice introduction in the beginning. That was cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they brought him in for that. That really popped me hard. That popped me huge.
Yeah.
And so it's the family versus Gallus, consisting of Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. And this match was really good. It was an excellent tag match. They worked really well together. And Joe Coffey tried to interfere, but Tony D clocked him with the trusty crowbar that they've been using recently. And in the ensuing moments of the match, they hit Wolfgang with the bada boom, bada bang, like that fucking slam move that they do as a team, and they won the tag team titles.
Yeah,
I was pleasantly surprised by the way that it was going. I mean, it's the way that this idiot books the fucking show, Shawn Michaels, that Gallus probably would have won, but yeah, I love the fact that Tony D and Stax won. The match was really good. And the right team won. I give it 3 stars.
Yeah, I thought this was good stuff. I'll give it like 3 stars. I did say like I don't think the match was as good. Like you waited for so long for this match. This match did not feel like it had like a 3-month feud into it. It just didn't. And I do kind of hope the family don't hold the titles for long because I don't think they're that great in the win. I think the gimmick is the thing that's getting them over, which is like fine, obviously. But I kind of hope they don't hold the belts for long. Like they just get like a couple months reign and then they could lose it to like the next heel tag team. Just because there's some points in the match where it's kind of rough sometimes. And I think it is on the fair because if you remember, I believe it's at Stand and Deliver when they had that triple threat tag match. They were kind of the reasons, if you remember, why that tag match wasn't all that great. So, yeah, I hope. Yeah, but I give the match 3 stars because we got the result that we should have gotten. And yeah, good job, Shawn Michaels. Yeah, he booked something wise on this show because there's traces of Shawn Michaels booking that he booked that. They're like, oh, what the fuck you doing, buddy?
It's so up and down. So it's, but we got what we wanted, so that's really all that mattered.
Yeah. And
so next is the Weapons Wild match between Roxanne Perez and Blair Davenport. This match was really fucking good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
This match was great, and they start out, and Roxy comes up first, and she's got the hometown pop, and she goes over and it shows her mom and her sister. She gives them both hugs, and then as she's going around, she goes to make the turn to go to the other side to go slap more, to give fans more high fives and whatnot. And Blair Davenport fucking rocks her. And from the get-go, this match was just crazy. I'm not going to go over spot for spot what happened. Just go and fucking watch it. It's really good. I could have sworn that when Roxy set that fucking table up, she was going through it. Because that's usually what happens. If you set up something, you're going through it. But she actually put Blair through the table right in front of her family.
Yes, she did.
And yeah, I thought that spot was brutal, and it was really good. And the finish happens when Roxy hits Pop Rocks on Blair Davenport for the victory. And I give this match 3.5 stars. It was really good. And the entire time I'm watching it, I was concerned for Roxanne's sister because she looked like she was going to fucking pass out the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, knowing her, you could see her in the background, and she was like hyperventilating. I'm like, is she going to make it through this match?
I know.
Like, is she okay?
But yeah, I thought this was great stuff. I really enjoyed this match. I thought the story was great. I give it 4 stars, and the right person won over, I think. I do hope this doesn't hurt Blair Davenport's momentum. Obviously, we'll find out. It probably will, because Shawn Michaels can't book anything. So he'll probably book it or lose the next 5 straight pay-per-views after this.
5 straight matches in a row.
Yeah, so...
And then relegated to the house show loop.
Yeah, so I still thought this was great stuff, though. I give this 4 stars. I like the fact the person actually won in their hometown. That's awesome. That never happens. So
it's very rare. Extremely rare that it happens. But this match is great. It's definitely worth going out of your way and watching. It was brutal. Not like blood and guts kind of brutal, but like a WWE style of brutality.
Yes.
And they actually used weapons, which is surprising in a WWE hardcore style match. When they have all these no rules matches, they never use any weapons.
Yeah. I love to Blair Davenport talk shit to Booker T at one point. Booker T's just aghast. He doesn't even know what to make of it when it happens. He's just surprised.
He's just lost.
Yeah. Because I think he was saying something out of the ordinary too, before that, anyways. And then I think Booker T was pissed. Blair Davenport cut him off too.
I just think that most of the time on commentary, I think we get the grunts because I think Booker wants to swear and he's not allowed to.
Yeah, probably.
You could see sometimes when he's doing commentary, when he says stuff, and then he grunts, and I'm like, maybe he wanted to swear there.
Yeah.
He couldn't.
That was awesome.
This match was fantastic. It was great. This next match though.
Yeah, it was weird.
You're gonna have to put this match into the Hall of Fame as one of the best of all time.
Yeah,
this match is Hall of Fame level of greatness. It was Gable Steveson versus Baron Corbin, and I'm not gonna fucking say anything else other than the fact that it ended in a double countout, and Gable Steveson got booed, and then we're chanting "Not Kurt Angle," and Gable put Baron Corbin through the fucking ringside barricade into the timekeeper's area, and he still got booed.
Yeah.
And Baron Corbin got cheered,
which never happens.
And literally, no one. The one that frustrated me the most about this is that these same people who were cheering Corbin in Houston were the same people who were chanting for him, who were saying for him to be fired a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
In years. So the past years they wanted to get fired. And now you like him? What switched? Nothing. But this match sucked. I thought this match was going to be decent. It just sucked. I give it 0 stars. It sucked. It absolutely sucked and didn't live up to any expectations. It made them both look fucking really, really incredibly weak. And it didn't help either of them by having a double count out and the match was super clumsy and super sloppy. There was no chemistry between the two. The match absolutely fucking blew.
Yeah, this wasn't good. It was really bad. Baron Corbin has a new theme now. It's so weird. Like, they were transitioning him into a gimmick, and it seems like they brought him back like he was still transitioning right before he came back. Like, he's back, and he's like a mixture of, like, I don't know what he is. Like, he's like supposed to be the lone wolf, but he's still kind of acting like the Baron Corbin that he was before he left to switch gimmicks and all that type of stuff.
He's like, it's weird. He's like an in between.
I think they booked this match on the fly, and they needed an opponent for Gable Steveson, so they threw Baron Corbin in there because they brought back Baron Corbin way too early. The double countout was stupid. It didn't even make any sense. The fans hated that. And I think I said this in the chat. If Gable Steveson was just going to stand tall anyways, just have him win the match. Like, it's so stupid. Why would you have him...
Like we said, like, on the predictions, like, why, like, if you would, like, he needed the win.
Yeah.
Like, Corbin could have afforded to lose. He could afford the loss.
Yeah.
And just come out on NXT and dominated. Like, had a squash match or something and looked really dominant.
Like the match
against talent.
The match on NXT would have actually helped him out for this week.
Yeah, instead that would have, like, reset him and then go do what you were doing before. But now it's like, it just didn't do anything for me, and it was not very good.
Yeah.
That kind of also brings down Gable, too, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, this was a one...
Made him look bad.
And it looks like, this was a one-star. This wasn't good. This was awful.
So next we have the North American Championship match. It was dirty.
Well, before that, Lyra Valkyria gets interviewed, and she talks about, like, her performance against Rhea Ripley, and then JC Jane attacks her from behind. They have a brawl, and this is my favorite thing. On a pay-per-view that we're paying for, the hyping up free TV, baby. Let's go. That's awesome.
Let's get that free TV up and running.
Yeah,
get it on that free TV.
By the way, what the hell was Lyra Valkyria and JC Jane even doing there if they weren't booked in a match? What are you doing there? You don't need to be there.
Free TV booking, baby.
Oh, this is terrible.
They could have just done that at the PC, by the way.
I know.
Like, it's just not good.
Yeah.
So next we have dirty, filthy, disgusting, great value brand Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero, Dominic Mysterio against Wesley and Mustafa Ali in a triple threat match. This match was fantastic.
Yeah.
All the components really worked together excellently. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this about the main event. I'm not going to go over it at all, period. Dom won. Just go and watch it. If you, like, me talking about this match isn't going to do it justice, just go back and watch it.
Yeah, this
was great.
This was great. Absolutely awesome stuff. They made Wesley look like a star. He kicked out of a riptide through the table, a belt shot with the World Heavyweight title, and then he kicked out of... Did he kick out of... I think he kicked out of the Frog Splash, too. He kicked out of something else on the also. Like, they made Wesley look like a star here. Dominic Mysterio looked awesome. You don't think so, obviously, but I think so. And then, Mustafa Ali looked good. It looks like they're going to set up maybe Mustafa Ali versus Dominic Mysterio in the future out of this because, Dom took advantage of, like, his move to get the win. So, I thought all of this was excellent. I gave the match 4.25 stars. It was great stuff.
Yeah, I gave it 4.25 too. I didn't give a star rating for that. The match was fantastic. This next match sucked.
Yeah.
It was the submission match. It was Tiffany Stratton versus Thea Hale. It just sucked. All around. Just not good. And not from a Thea Hale perspective. She lost to a shitty Boston Crab, and Andre Chase threw the towel in, and Thea Hale lost, and it just looked... It was just awful.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't even have her legs hooked.
Not at all.
For a Boston Crab. She was grabbing her by the ankles. You're telling me Thea couldn't get out of that shitty Boston Crab? Like, come on. And I knew it was going to happen. I knew she was going to fucking lose.
Yeah.
It was so obvious. And instead now they keep it on a shitty champion who, first of all, can't get promos and sucks in the ring. Great. Instead of putting on someone who's actually a good wrestler and is a good character that people like, instead now we have this shitty champion and a shitty wrestler as a champion.
Yeah, it's bad.
This match, I give it fucking 1.5 stars.
Yeah, this wasn't good.
Terrible.
It's a submission match, too, where they barely do any submissions. It's all dives and stuff. Like, no one wants to see that in a submission match. Thea Hale doesn't even do the Kimura lock in the match, which is the big thing that everyone wanted to see. Oh, I guess, by the way, we should say that Tiffany Stratton's more tougher than Cody Rhodes. She didn't come out in a cast after being put in the Kimura. Remember, Cody was in a cast for like a month? That didn't happen with Tiffany Stratton.
But he actually sold the injury.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even knew she had the Kimura as her submission move because there was no selling, there was no nothing.
Yeah. And
not even like she came out and like the first thing I would have done was if you weren't gonna have her come out having her arm wrapped or anything like that, or any cast or anything, I would have had Thea Hale from the outset trying to lock in the Kimura lock on that arm again.
Yeah.
And then every time like have or do like a move like right away, like an arm wringer or something, and have her get up and shake her arm.
Yeah.
Like something to show that, hey, this is the reason why she has that arm. Why Thea uses the Kimura lock now, and then have her try to lock it in a couple of times. Then Tiffany escapes outside and then shakes her arm again to try to get the feeling back in. But like they didn't fucking even do that. There was no psychology whatsoever. It was like she didn't even have a reason to use the Kimura lock.
Yeah.
Thea Hale.
This was just terrible. I give the match like 1 star. And also, too, I didn't predict this. They're going to set up a breakup angle with Chase U. Oh, boy. We'll get to that when we talk about NXT this week. Yeah, we'll talk about that some more. But, yeah.
So, now, again, like I said before, I'm not going to go over this main event. At all, period. Carmelo Hayes defeated Ilya Dragunov to retain his NXT championship. There's a lot of high spots in here.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, though. The one thing I'll say. That spot, that sell by Dragunov, when he was doing the coast to coast, when Mello hit him with a knee or like a codebreaker type move, and he fucking did that flip, I was like, holy shit, that was sick. I absolutely loved it. This match was great. I give it 4.5 stars.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome. This was like what? This would be like playing Mortal Kombat, and like you start, you get your ass kicked at the beginning. You're down to like a bar of health, and you come back and win. That's exactly what happens with Carmelo Hayes here. He gets destroyed in the beginning, and then he has to have this big comeback, and then like it ends up being like this back and forth match at the end. And then the finish. The finish is what's really worth talking about. Dragunov went for the Torpedo Moscow off of the steps onto Hayes, and Trick Williams moved him out of the way, and he hits Trick Williams, and Trick Williams was holding the NXT Championship, and this causes Dragunov to go into the championship head first, and Carmelo Hayes puts him in the win and hits the nothing but net on him for the win. So I like that they kind of gave Dragunov an out for losing. I don't know if he's going to get a rematch because of this, because they do something with it in NXT. But yeah, this was just absolutely excellent. This was a great match. I give it 4.5 stars. It was absolutely awesome. And that was NXT, the Great American Bash. They did advertise No Mercy, so that will be happening. And yeah, this show was good. I'll give it like a B-. I feel like some of the booking kind of hurts the show for being like great. Like obviously with the Corbin Gable Stevenson match and the NXT women's title match. But other than that, we still had some good matches all around. And again, Wesley and Carmelo Hayes are the standouts of the pay-per-view. They really put this together. What would you give this as a letter grade?
I give it a B-. It's so close to being a C+. But but that triple threat match for the North American Championship was great. The main event was great. And the Weapons Wild match was fantastic. And I like the tag team match to open the show.
There you go.
But it's so close to being a C+ because that woman's match just drags it down, and that double count out drags it down for me.
Yeah. All right, let's go through NXT from this week now. It took place on August 1st, 2023. The same people were on commentary. The family arrived, but before Tony D could even get out of his car, they get attacked by Gallus. They beat him up outside, and they destroy him. And Vic Joseph and Booker T are like completely aghast at this happen. Booker T's laughing when this happens too. He's like,
he was uncontrollably laughing for some reason.
I don't even know if he even knew what happened, but like Vic Joseph was like aghast about it. Like he was Booker T was laughing. I don't even know if Booker T even saw the segments. Like, I think he was just laughing for no reason.
Okay. Like fucking Vic Joseph reamed him for it too.
Yeah, but what do you think of this attack and Booker T laughing because of it?
I thought the attack was very random because I thought they were going to be done with Gallus, but apparently it's not over. I don't mind it. I mean, it's probably going to lead to Gallus winning. The title's back, but yeah, I didn't mind it. It wasn't bad. But Booker T laughing on commentary, just like, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, can you hold it together for like more than 3 seconds? The fucking show just started. We're a minute into the show, and you're already laughing your ass off.
And then he laughs even more because doing this, JC Jane like takes over a commentary headset and she's just reaming Vic Joseph a new one, and Booker T's just laughing his ass off about this too. Like he's loving this.
It was great. She just showed up out of nowhere and was like, I was like, okay, I guess she gets the jobber entrance then. And then she just walks like through the like in front of the camera and like out and into the ring. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was insane. And then we have a match between Lyra Valkyria and JC Jane. That was a pretty good match. Lyra wins. That's all that matters. I was really worried they were going to have Lyra lose after having that great performance with Rhea Ripley.
That was my fear, too. I was like, oh my god, she's going to lose because she came out like, and JC started beating the shit out of her. And I was like, oh, this is going to be it. Like, she's going to roll her back into the ring, hit her with the finisher, and lose in like under a minute and a half. I was like, that's fucking great.
Yeah, but no, that's not what happens. Lyra wins, and it was a pretty damn good match. And end this feud now because there's no reason to continue it now. I thought they're ending it. I don't know where Lyra goes from here. I would just have Lyra maybe get called up to the main roster and either be an opponent for Rhea Ripley or join Judgment Day. I don't know, but there's no need to continue this feud anymore. What'd you think of this?
I like the fact that she won. Thank God she won. Thank freaking God.
Then Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes are backstage, and they're talking about Carmelo Hayes' win at the Great American Bash. And Trick Williams mentions that, he said that he wanted to go out and be his own man. He doesn't want to be looked at as a sidekick anymore. And Hayes says that he never saw him that way. And Trick Williams says that, I know you don't, but the fans do. And he says that he's going to go finish his business with Ilya Dragunov. He said this isn't a breakup, but they're just going to go their separate ways. I like this. I like the fact that they had like a mutual, pardon of the ways. But knowing Shawn Michaels, he's going to be like, oh, time to... Think about how much more this would mean, by the way, if Shawn Michaels didn't break up every tag team he had the chance to break up, by the way. But I still like this for the most part. What did you think of this?
I did. I liked it. Trick just wants to be his own man. I can respect that. But yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. Watch, it's going to turn on him, though, like, in a few weeks. And be like, You
know what's happening. It's only a matter of time.
Because no tag team... Well, I wonder if Shawn Michaels... If you think about it, like I said, if Shawn Michaels didn't break up every tag team, like, think about how much more this would mean, type of thing. So
it would be, yeah.
Then we have the family get interviewed. They're being interviewed about being attacked, and they challenge Gallus to a fight, all of them, and Stax is like, wait, but there's 3 of them, and Tony D said that he's going to make a call. Tony D goes to walk away, and the doctor's just like, "Wait, I'm not done checking on you." It's like, "Well, we're fine. We can go. We're fine." So I thought that was funny. So what do you think of this? This was good.
I liked it. Yeah, Tony D had to go make a call, and boy did he ever.
He did. Then we had Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio having a promo segment. They bragged about how Dominic is still the North American champion. And then they get interrupted by Dragon Lee. And, Dragon Lee talks about how Dominic Mysterio is disrespectful towards the luchador heritage. And he said that he doesn't show enough respect for it. And, Rhea Ripley, they call him a Rey Mysterio ripoff. They call him Rey Mysterio Jr. And then it leads to they basically Dominic Dragon Lee says that Rhea Ripley has Dominic Mysterio's balls on her posts, and Rhea Ripley says that Dom has bigger balls than you do, and Dom's just like Dragon Lee's just like, I doubt that. And then he challenges Dominic Mysterio to a match for the North American title next week. Dominic accepts because he'll have Mommy ringside, and Dragon Lee says that he's going to have somebody else in the corner, and that's Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio comes up on the screen and says that he's going to be in his corner, Dragon Lee's corner, when he beats Dominic Mysterio for the North American Championship. I liked this. I thought this was really good stuff. Good way to set up a title match. I wish they would rush into the title match, but it is what it is. But I'm happy Dragon Lee's finally where he belongs and where he should be. What do you think of this? I liked this.
I liked it a lot. I like the fact that Dragon's getting his title shot, and I like the fact that Rey fucking Mysterio is going to be in his corner. Absolutely love it. Love it. I popped hard for that. That's going to be, I think that's his first appearance at NXT. Or second.
Second one, because he showed up last year with Dominic Mysterio when they faced Legado. So.
Yep, that is true.
And then Chase U get interviewed. Thea Hale's not happy. She has talked about how she was on the verge of winning the NXT Women's Championship, and then the towel. She even says that she didn't tap out, and Andre Chase said that he threw in the towel because he was trying to protect Thea Hale because he didn't want her to get injured. Baron Corbin comes up and puts down Chase U, and it leads to a match later between Baron Corbin and Andre Chase. Thea Hale the whole night's like really depressed. She's not as energized as she typically is. So, there's some trouble brewing there. But this backstage segment was no good because they're breaking up Chase U, and you know how I feel about that. What do you think?
Bad. This is why we can't have everything nice.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk more about that when the match actually happens. Then we have Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak. This match was really good. I like this match a lot. Eddie Thorpe's theme song's different. It's really bad now. You ever notice, by the way, anytime they've changed the theme song to like they never stick to the first one. It's all they go to the second one, and it's always worse than the first one. It's like, I think Shawn Michaels doesn't know that Vince method. If it's not broken, don't fix it. It's not even broken, and then he breaks it, type of thing.
He smashes it into a million pieces,
and then when it's broken, he doesn't fix it. He's just like, oh, it's broken. I don't know how to fix it. I wonder if he's able to do like. I wonder what would happen if like he got a flat tire. Would he just like not fix it? Would he just like walk home? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, he would.
Like if his car broke down, would he just be like, "Oh, I guess that's broken. I can't fix that."
I don't have a car anymore.
If a lamp just shattered onto the floor, would he just leave it there? Would he not even clean it up? Like,
yeah, can't be bothered.
Would he not fix it? Like,
you can't be bothered.
If his house just broke into a million pieces, would he just not fix his house? Like, would he just be like if
he just says, yeah. Huh? What's the point of having a house? There's no need.
If his hat was broke, if his hat broke, would he just keep wearing the same broken hat every week? Like,
yeah.
What if his glasses broke? Would he just not get any more glasses? Like,
yeah, he just wouldn't get glasses anymore.
He needs
those. He'd be done with glasses.
He needs those to see. Like,
well, that's too bad.
What happens if he breaks?
He just doesn't need to. It's just he won't fix it.
Yeah. Well, that could explain when he broke his back in 1998 why he didn't fix it for 4 years because he didn't feel the need to fix his back. He just didn't feel the need to. He's just like
Just didn't feel the need to.
Um, I noticed though he breaks tag teams though. That's what he breaks.
Oh my god! It's his favorite profession.
Do you ever think too when like a tag team gets called into his office, he's just like, "You got, yeah, it's time to break you guys up." Do you ever think the tag team gets all nervous when they get a call to Shawn Michaels?
Because they hear, it's time.
I wonder if Shawn Michaels is that guy too. Like, Cody was making pitches to that guy with it. I wonder if Shawn Michaels is the opposite, where the tag team's making all these pitches to stuff they can do as a tag team, and Shawn's just like, okay, let me just write them. He's just like, I'm just gonna break you up anyways. Like,
So write them down. But first, the number one thing should be break up.
I mean, as you've seen,
everything else after that won't matter.
Yeah. I think the best thing is when he put the team together, I think he's thinking of ways to break them up right when he puts them together, too.
Because in 1992, he super kicked Marty Jannetty in the face and then threw him through the barbershop window, effectively ending the Rockers. And then what happened from that point forward? He hated tag teams.
Yep.
He was on a mission to break up every single tag team that he was a part of or that he saw.
Yes,
Goodbye, Bonito. No more tag teams. Who needs them anymore? You can have solo tag team champion. There's no S on there. They can lay claim to the tag team championship. The solo tag team championship.
Yep.
It's not, there's no S on there anymore. Next thing you know, Tony and Stax are going to be singles wrestlers, and each of them are going to carry the tag team championship with them.
Yep.
And they are the tag team championship.
I mean, don't give him any ideas. In WCW, wasn't it the Giant and Kevin Nash fought to be the tag team champions? Like, didn't that happen?
Yeah, it was just Sting.
Oh, okay.
Sting too, because I think it was the Giant joined Hollywood or something like that, and he fought the Giant for the tag team championships.
Yeah.
Really weird. They did that in WCW a lot, though.
Yeah. But yeah, going through. I almost said Christian Cage versus Dijak. Eddie Thorpe versus. I guess Eddie Thorpe's Christian Cage now.
Cage versus Dijak. That wouldn't even be his name.
I know. Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak, though. This match was really good. Eventually, Dijak wins with a discus boot. I didn't mind Dijak winning because he needed a win. He hadn't had a big win in a while. I do have an issue, though, because Eddie Thorpe lost to Ola Mensa. That match, that shouldn't have happened. If he just lost here and had been undefeated up until that point, I would have been okay with it. But it's looking like loyal times for Eddie Thorpe. What did you think of this?
Yeah, he should have. He should have beat Ola Mensa, and this loss wouldn't have been as bad. But this is 2 in a row for him now, and it's just he looks directionless.
Yeah. Then Tony D's backstage. He said that he made a phone call. He said that, the guy's doing me a favor. So there you go. What'd you think of this?
I liked it. He's doing him a favor.
Yeah. Then we had
Dana. I kind of called it right away when I kind of knew who it was. Right away.
Yeah, same. Then we had Dana Brooke and Kalani Jordan backstage. They're watching the kendo stick match, and they talk about how they saw a different side of Dana Brooke. And Dana Brooke says that came out after all the time she was misused and all the tweets that she's been getting and stuff. And she says that, Kalani Jordan needs to find that side of her. She needs to find that wild side of her. And she needs to call somebody out. And she just walks away, and that was it. I didn't like this. It didn't
move the needle for me at all.
Yeah, I don't get why they insisted of having Dana Brooke in NXT. It's just not... She's been, the worst one that they brought back down to NXT. Corbin, it's probably Baron Corbin's been the best, and then she's probably been the worst. What do you think of this?
Oh, she's awful. I even said in the chat. I just went back and found it. I was like, ha ha ha! Her complaining as the face. What?
Yeah,
She's the fucking face. Why is she complaining? Makes no sense.
By the way, remember you recommended to Shawn Michaels that he turned Dana Brooke heel and turned Cora Jade face? He's doing that, but he waited too fucking long. Like,
Oh, she's done.
yeah.
She's dead in the water.
We'll talk about that in a second. Then we had a women's tag match. It was Yulisa Leon and Valentina Veloz versus Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice. This is set up because apparently Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice were laughing at, Leon and Veloz for, I don't even know why they were laughing at him. They were just laughing at him. Like,
when they showed that, first of all, you couldn't even hear a fucking word they said.
Yeah.
To begin with. And secondly, it was fucking horrific.
Yeah.
It might have been the worst segment in WWE history.
Yeah, they have a match. The people that had the pay-per-view match, the PLE match, got a fucking jobber entrance, and the people that weren't even on the PLE got the entrance. What sense does that make? And this is why no one can be a star in NXT. But why they have to send the main roster guys down there? Because Shawn Michaels screws it up every which way. How does he follow up? Valentina Veloz and Yulisa Leon getting the first big win on a PLE. Just loses on TV to a tag team that hasn't been on TV for months. What a great way to, reestablish that. Can you imagine, by the way, like, Ty Dillinger's first match, big pay-per-view win, if he came right back and just lost to, like, Elias Sampson, who hasn't been on TV for months. What a great way to put somebody.
What a great match.
Yeah, like, what did you think of this? This match was awful, by the way. Absolutely awful. Like, they're not TV ready, and this match should have been on Level Up, not fucking NXT. What did you think?
This match sucked. All four of them sucked.
Yeah.
At least with Lola Vice, I see some potential with her.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, she definitely looks like the best. She's the best of the four of them, and it's by a fucking mile. And she's very new to this, too.
Yeah.
Coming over from the MMA world. You can see that she has a lot of potential. But, Elektra Lopez is garbage. She's been garbage since day one.
Yeah.
There's a reason why she came in as a manager, not as a wrestler, because she sucks. There's a reason why she wasn't called up when Legado got called up, because it actually made them better.
Oh, yeah, it did.
And Yulisa Leon and Valentina Veloz, my opinions on them. They suck.
Yeah.
They're sloppy. They're just horrible. They're fucking horrible.
Terrible. Then, Tiffany Stratton does a TikTok video saying basically she's going to be on next week, but we don't know what she's going to do, whether it's going to be announcing a new opponent or announcing, doing a celebration or whatever. What a...
They're going to come on attack for 2 straight weeks after this and then lose on the pay-per-view.
Huh?
Someone's gonna come out and then beat her up, and then for 2 weeks, and then they're gonna have a pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
And then they're just gonna lose anyway.
Yeah. So whatever. Not a good TikTok, by the way. This might be like the worst TikTok I've ever seen in my life. What do you think of the TikTok?
Just bad. It was just bad. The segment-wise, just bad. Just bad. 3 in a row. Awful.
Yeah, it's not good.
The video that Lola Vice had with Elektra Lopez, the match, and the TikTok all sucked.
Yeah.
3 in a row. Just awful.
No, I forgot to write this down, but at some point in the show, we see Carmelo Hayes backstage again, and Wes Lee comes in, and he's all pissed about how his career has been going lately, and Carmelo Hayes is trying to calm him down, and he says he's been where he is, and Wes Lee talks about how he doesn't know where he is because you've had a good rise up to the NXT title. Carmelo Hayes says, "Do you think it's easy for me? I have to, have my head on a swivel when it comes to the NXT championship." And they're kind of going at it, and then Noam Dar and Owen Benza come in, and they're bragging about the fact that, they're all champions. And Wesley's like, "You're not even the Heritage Cup champion. It's Nathan Fraser is." And, Noam Dar just refuses to hear that. And it leads to a brawl, and it sets up this tag match here with Carmelo Hayes and Wesley versus Owen Benza and Noam Dar. This was a really good tag match here. I liked it. This should have gotten the picture-in-picture break. I would have loved to have seen the whole match as it continuous. Eventually, though, Wesley's about to go for the cardiac kick onto Noam Dar, but doing this, Carmelo Hayes is fighting Ormento in the corner, and Ormento pushes Carmelo Hayes, and Carmelo Hayes inadvertently pushes Noam Dar out of the way, and it causes him to get hit with the cardiac kick by Wesley. And because of this, Noam Dar wins with a Nova Roller on, Wesley for the win, and the Metaphor get a victory here. Afterwards, Wesley and Carmelo Hayes are arguing with each other, and, they just kind of, they're not happy with each other. So, I like this a lot. I don't actually hate the fact that Wesley and Carmelo Hayes lost because it's leading to a title match, which I'm all for because we've seen what they can do together, and I think it's Wesley's old finally an NXT title match. I really hope they don't give it away on TV. That should be built to that should be the No Mercy main event title match. But I think they're gonna give it away on TV just because they don't have enough time.
They definitely are.
Yeah, which I think is a mistake, but yeah. And I even like the fact that Carmelo Hayes is telling Wesley that he's acting like Braun Breaker now, with the way he reacted to his title loss. So overall, I thought all of this was a thumbs up. What do you think?
It was good. I'm not gonna like it if it leads to Wesley turning heel because I don't think he'd be. I just don't think his gimmick would be good as a heel.
Yeah,
he would need to change his entire gimmick up if he was to go heel. Because he's just so over.
Yeah.
And he's a fucking... His moveset, too, by the way, is not a heel's moveset.
No, he'd have to change that, too, yeah.
He would have to change the entire fucking thing. Which, it's just... I can understand, being frustrated and, getting mad that he lost 3 matches in a row. I get that. But fucking, for the love of God, please do not turn him heel.
Yeah, just have him
turn heel.
Just have him be frustrated.
Yeah, exactly. Have a frustrated gimmick. That's fine, but don't fucking turn him heel because that will completely ruin him.
And then are you cool with Carmelo Hayes and Wesley losing, or do you think they should have won?
If it leads to a title match, I'm all for it, but if it doesn't, and it just leads to, like you said, a random match that's thrown on the card in a few weeks, it should be the No Mercy main event, because that match will fucking steal the fucking show, and it will bring people into the fucking building.
Yeah, it will.
That's a match that you put on last on a pay-per-view, not put on last in front of an audience of 50 people. That's not what you do. That's not a Performance Center, Capital Wrestling Center match. That is we're going out of the building here. We're going to a new building. This is what's going to draw the fans in.
Yeah, that's not like a match with 50 people that are there every week anyways, type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not for the Florida audience. This is for you get out of the building. What brought people into the building for Great American Bash was Roxy's return in the main event. And I'm fucking reluctant to say it, but Dom Mysterio brought them in there too.
Ooh. Say that again.
And you have to have that match, Carmelo Hayes versus Wesley, as the last match to go on the fucking show, the main event, because that's what's going to draw people in, because that match will be fucking electric. And it's going to fucking blow the roof off the place. That's going to be that's a 5-star quality match right there. And you can't throw that away in 2 weeks on TV.
Yeah.
That's not what should happen. You have a legit 5-star main event at your No Mercy pay-per-view that you're looking for. You got it right there, right in front of you.
Yes, you do.
Use it properly.
This is Shawn Michaels you're talking to here. You're asking a lot from him, though. So
yeah, it is. He's going to throw it on TV in 2 weeks anyway.
It'll open the show. It'll open the show too.
It's going to open the show, and it's going to go 3 minutes. with no flippy floppy flying moves. It's going to be all ground based submission style.
They'll win with like a.
It's going to be over in 3 minutes, and it's going to be a disqualification finish.
No. Double count out finish.
Double count out with a brawl into the back. And you're not even going to get a rematch. You're not going to get nothing. You're going to get 0. That's it. That's the match that Wesley's going to get.
That'll be Wesley's last.
It's the fucking main event of No Mercy. Do us a favor, Shawn Michaels, and your shitty writing team. Put that match on fucking last at No Mercy.
But no one too.
If not, who the fuck is Carmelo Hayes going to face in the pay-per-view? And I don't want this to be on 2 weeks or 3 weeks on an NXT, and then the rematch happens at No Mercy. I want this match at No Mercy. No Mercy. The pay-per-view that you just brought back, that's your main event.
You know that totally.
Williams is doing something else. That's also a match that should be on the pay-per-view.
You know
that match can probably kick off the pay-per-view. But I'm not Shawn Michaels. I wish I was, because I would say, you know what? Fuck it. It's going on last. Carmelo Hayes versus Wesley and No Mercy.
I don't think you want to be Shawn Michaels. You'd be breaking up.
I would want to be Shawn Michaels because I can fucking book it better than him.
You'd be breaking up. Do you think Shawn Michaels, when he gets 2K?
Tag teams together. I'd be keeping tag teams together. And anything that came across my fucking path that said, this tag team should break up, I'd fire them on the spot. We wouldn't have the Garza family breaking up. We wouldn't have. There would be no dissension at all in Chase U.
My favorite thing.
NXT.
By the way,
what would dissension? I would have Grizzled Young Veterans back with their old names.
Yeah. By the way,
the contracts. I would push them. I'd give them tag title shots. But instead, they're fucking floundering with the stupid schism gimmick.
We'll get to that later. Yeah. I do want to say something. By the way, I love how you're thinking. Like, was this when the Garza family started the breakup storyline? Was this direction from up above and all that type of stuff? And I had to be like, no, because there was no tease of a breakup on the main roster between the Garza family until they got to NXT. Like,
there wasn't anything.
And the second you, by the way, you realize our friendship's in trouble if we wrestled at NXT like that, like Shawn.
Yeah, good for automatic. It's automatic.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's continue. Braun Breaker cuts a promo. It's one of those video promos. He talks about, he asked Von Wagner how that spear felt last week. And he says that, he talks about how nobody gives a damn about his story. He talks about how his father's a nobody like he is. And he said that scar that was on your head as a kid, when I get done with you, it's going to be much worse. I don't know how much worse it's going to be. Is he going to kill him? Like, I think that's worse than what happened to Von Wagner, right? Like, I think he's going to
murder him.
I like this promo by Braun Breaker there. I thought it was good stuff. What did you think?
It was great. It was a good promo. I'm looking forward to the match. That spear, though, they showed it again, was brutal.
Yeah. I don't know why this match wasn't on the Great American Bash, though. Instead, they decided to put Gabriel Stevenson versus Baron Corbin on the fucking Great American Bash, but not this match. Like, the guy that Von Wagner, they've been investing time into. Like, what are you doing?
I know, it was weird because Braun wasn't on the show at all.
Yeah.
What was he not on a PLE?
I think he's been on every single one since NXT rebranded.
Like, it's honestly shocking. Like, that he's in NXT still, and he's not, he wasn't on the show.
Can you imagine, like, right before his time in NXT was up, Finn Balor missing a takeover? Like...
Yeah, exactly. Like Finn Balor in general, like when he was in NXT, like the first time around, when he was like the face champion, like imagine him like from the time that he debuted in NXT until when he went to the main roster the first time, like not appearing on a PLE.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't be fathomable.
Yeah, because I don't think he missed a single one before he went from the time he debuted in NXT, from the time. He got caught up. I think he was on every single takeover. He was
the main event of almost every single takeover.
Yeah, so it's also weird because Braun Breaker just had a match with Seth. Can you imagine Kevin Owens having a match with like John Cena, then he misses like takeover? Like that'd be insane.
It's just not. It's just insane.
Yeah.
It really is. It'd just be crazy if that happened because all that momentum in the world, and then it's just like bye bye, no more.
That's Shawn Michaels NXT for you. Speaking of Shawn Michaels NXT, Baron Corbin versus Andre Chase with Thea Hale and Duke Hudson ringside. Thea Hale's not into the Chase U entrance this week. She's very depressed. Reminds me a lot of Julia Hart right before she joined, the House of Black. Remember, like she'd come out, and she'd be like depressed for weeks. It was just like that. And then, they have a match here. Baron Corbin's theme song, I'm still not used to yet. The theme song that he has does not fit him at all. Baron Corbin gets a Boston Crab in on Andre Chase, and Thea Hale throws the towel in. Baron Corbin catches it, and he just throws it out of the ring, like he didn't want to win that way. Like, you're a heel, bud. You should want to win any way possible. But no, he didn't want to win that way. Thea Hale left, and then it led to Baron Corbin winning with the end of days. And, this match was good. I like the match, but yeah, oh my gosh, why are they breaking up Chase U? And the worst part about it, they're having it looks like they're going to have Thea Hale be the one to fucking turn heel out of it. Like, what? Why? It seems like, do you ever realize, by the way, in Shawn Michaels NXT, anytime you lose a big title match, you immediately turn heel afterwards. Like, you can't be a babyface after lose a big match in NXT. Like, Braun Breaker turned heel, and now Thea Hale's gonna turn heel. And it was like, and Wesley may go heel. Apparently, if you lose a big match, Shawn Michaels doesn't understand how to stay a babyface after that. It's like, oh, I guess you gotta turn heel now, right? What do you think of this?
You can't be a babyface anymore.
Yeah. That's going to be Shawn Michaels' new thing, by the way. And he's making up Chase U, by the way, too, which, we've talked about that before.
It's obvious now. If it wasn't already obvious to begin with.
And I think it's going to actually happen this time, too. Like,
it's just like, it would be Shawn Michaels to have Thea Hale go heel. That makes sense.
Yeah.
None of the stuff he does makes sense anymore.
It's just, do you realize, by the way, I do want to point this out, that Chase U has not gotten a lawn since Vengeance Day. Like, the time they were the most over, that's when Shawn Michaels started planting the seeds, breaking them up. That's the time he finally started. Like,
exactly.
And they haven't gotten a lot together in like for like a month straight. They always have issues. I know you're gonna say, well, didn't they just get along recently? No, because Andre Chase was gone for a while, so there were still issues there. So
it was. It just like what is going on? Why can't we have that? This is why we can't have anything nice.
Yeah, like
this is a stable that everyone likes. And what does he do? Can't have it anymore.
And now Thea Hale's getting really over. She's really popular. Now she's gonna turn heel for no reason.
This doesn't even remotely make any sense.
Yeah. Why is she the one that's gonna break up Chase U? By the way.
How about his and novelty? How about we don't do it?
Yeah.
Hey. Out of all the outcomes possible, the outcome of not doing it should have been there.
Yeah. Yeah. This
should have been the first one on the list.
Yeah. This was really terrible. There's gonna be a segment where Thea Hale's just gonna no-show classes now too. She's gonna fail. Thanks to Shawn Michaels, Thea Hale's gonna fail Chase U classes now. Thanks a lot, Shawn.
Yeah, now she's gonna join the schism too now.
Actually, she may join Drew Gulak and his group now. Even that feud's won.
Join the schism and follow the exact same path as Julia Hart now.
By the way, let's also talk. That ended up working really well for Julia Hart, by the way. But how well did that go with the Varsity Blondes? One of them's coming to the WWE now. Like,
they completely murdered it.
And Griff Garrettson, I don't even know what the fuck happened to him. Is he dead? Like, I don't know what the fuck happened.
Probably. His career is, at least.
Yeah. So yeah, this. Did you like the match though? Was there too much teasing of Chase U breaking up to make you not care about the match?
Yeah, it's anything with Chase U and breaking up, I want nothing to do with it.
Shawn Michaels wants everything to do with it though. It's a tag team breaking up. He's all in on this. He's all on board. Like
he's always obsessed with it.
I bet he's like, look. I bet he wants to book the main roster so he can break up all the tag teams there. He's like, you always Alpha Academy's getting broken up the second he takes over the book, probably, right? Like,
oh yeah, he can't. He already has a list of teams he's gonna break up.
Oh yeah. Then we had Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley backstage. They're about to leave. Axiom comes up. And I loved it. Dominic Mysterio thought Axiom was Dragon Lee. That was hilarious. That was awesome.
What a piece of shit.
And he said no, that he's Axiom. And he said that he tells Dominic that he needs to show respect to the luchador culture. Even though Axiom wasn't even a luchador until he got to NXT. But I don't know what's going on there. Well, I guess Axiom and A-Kid are different people, though. That's been confirmed. And then Mustafa Ali comes up and he wants to say something to Dom, but Axiom keeps cutting him off because he's upset that Mustafa Ali cut him off. And Mustafa's like, I just want 1 second, just 1 second. But Dom and Rhea take off before he could say anything. And Mustafa Ali's pissed that, like, Axiom took away his time. And
he, like, turned back around to say something, they were gone.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I like this segment here. I thought it was really good stuff. What'd you think?
I liked it. He's a little disrespectful piece of shit because, again, Dominic Mysterio, a loser scumbag, rip off of Eddie Guerrero, great value bargain, great value Walmart brand Eddie Guerrero, and Walmart bargain freaking brand Dollar General, Dollar Tree version of China.
There you go. Then we had Metaphor backstage. They were celebrating their win. And Tyler Bate comes up and he, like, congratulates them on the win. And he even tells Noam Dar, like, don't you dare call yourself the NXT Heritage Cup champion. I thought that was hilarious. Like, the second he's about to say it, Tyler Bate just comes up out of nowhere. Like, don't you dare call yourself. Like, that'd be like me about to review Main Event. You're like, don't you dare review Main Event. Like, that's exactly what it is. That's what Tyler Bate did here. Like,
Don't fucking dare.
But don't worry, I haven't seen it yet, so we can't even review it here. So, but Tyler Bate, we find out why he's been gone. He went to a what's it called? I forget what it's called, but he went to some type of relaxation retreat. They call it something, but I forget what it was called. And he said that he put his mind at ease. And I love they ask it.
He did a whole bunch of pot.
Huh?
He just did a whole bunch of drugs.
Maybe. So what if he did?
At ease.
Noam Dar asked him if he lived under a rock, and he said, metaphorically, we're all living under a rock. So, Chris, I guess metaphorically, we're all living under a rock right now. So
Metaphorically.
So, you should go tell your parents they're living under rocks right now. So, just go tell them.
We're all under rocks.
You know, your dog is.
He must be really high if he thought that everyone was living under a rock.
Yeah. Why does everything have to go back to drugs for you, Chris? Everything comes back to drugs. Like, oh, drugs. Like, do you want to do drugs or something? Like,
sounds like a fun idea. Maybe I can linked up with Matt Riddle.
I don't think you want to do that. You can't stand Matt Riddle. So, well, I guess you would be high also, though. But I feel like you would still hate Matt Riddle even if you were high and he was high at the same time.
I definitely would.
I feel like you'd beat the shit out of him. I feel like you'd murder him if you were high and he was high at the same time. Like, I don't know. But it leads to a match next week, and it looks like it's going to be for the quote-unquote Heritage Cup, because sadly it's not the Heritage Cup. How hilarious would it be if Noam Dar lost that fucking cup now? What would happen then? Like, would they get it?
I would love it. That would be the best.
They should just keep... That should keep happening. He should just keep losing the Heritage Cup, and then they have to keep giving him a new... They have to keep giving him like a new cup, and eventually everyone on the roster just has a Heritage Cup. Like,
that'd be so funny. I guess then it's like, but he has to go into a catatonic vegetative state
every time.
Every time he loses it.
What did you think of this segment? I thought Tyler Bate was good here.
I thought it was a good segment. I like that. I like how they reintroduced Tyler Bate, and yeah, that match should be a good one.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's winning, which sucks. But
he's winning.
Then we had two bad segments. Schism cut a promo, and they're gonna try to find who of like the Schism is basically a turncoat, and everybody takes off their mask. They just say they're good too, like, oh, you're good. Like, we don't even know anything about these guys. They're just like, oh, you're good, you're fine.
Who cares? Get out of here.
One funny one was obviously one of them took off the mask and it ended up being like Ike Manjiro. And they were just like, "What are you doing? This is serious business." And they just let him go free. By the way, they don't even care. Like,
Nope.
And I love that one of Zach Gibson. He was just like, one of them didn't even take their mask. I was like, "You're clearly you're good. You're fine." Like, how does he know he was fine? Like,
how does he know?
he could have been the rat or whatever. Like,
He could have been.
He
probably let him go.
But then we see these two other guys. They think it's the Creed brothers, and they just beat them up. And then they take their mask off, and we find out that it's not the Creed brothers. It was kind of obvious this wasn't the Creed brothers. And the Creed brothers come up on the screen, and they just talk about how they're enjoying their vacation. They're in front of a beach. They said it's in Florida, but they're not in Orlando. No, it was meant to be Hawaii, but I think
Yeah.
they were clearly in front of like a green screen though.
It was hilarious.
Huh?
It was hilarious.
Yeah, and then basically they just ruined the loser leads NXT match, and basically Joe Gacy puts a hit on the Creed. He challenges any one of the Schism's followers to bring the Creed brothers to them, and I guess they'll take care of them permanently. So I didn't like this segment at all. I thought it was terrible, and it just ruined the loser leads NXT match. And they brought back the Creed brothers in the most unexciting way possible by just having them cut a promo on the screen. Like, it was time for them to go on the main roster. This was the perfect way to do it, and now they ruined it. They can't do loser leaves NXT anymore, by the way. They ruined that gimmick now. What did you think of this?
I thought the segment itself wasn't very good, but I thought the Creed brothers part was pretty funny.
That's
How
fair.
they just how they kept changing where they were every time. That I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, the whole integrity of the match is ruined now. And originally, when I was like at the beginning, when he was like, "We're gonna find the rat," and whatnot, and I thought that was gonna be like the Grizzled Young Veterans were going to be the ones that were going to be the rats. And I thought they were going to get taken out. And I was like, okay, I was like, oh, it's going to be them. Like, Joe Gacy's going to blame them. And then it's like, nope. And yeah, it's just overall, this wasn't, the Creed's part was funny, but like overall it was not good.
By the way, Chris, if you do a loser leaves town match, by the way, I guess you can stay. It looks like so.
Yeah, because there's no enforcement.
Yeah. The Cora Jade's backstage. She leaves NXT. Okay. She's ruined. What do you think of this?
She's been ruined. You know my thoughts on this. Everyone knows my thoughts. This has watched us. She's ruined. She's destroyed.
Yeah.
She's a horrendous heel. Shawn Michaels ruined her. The second he turned her heel, she's done. She's done for. She is done for. She's dead in the water. She needs this face turn badly, and if she doesn't come back as a face, she's even more ruined than Shreddy was.
Yeah, definitely. So there you go. She deleted her Twitter apparently, so I don't know if that's part of the storyline or what, but we'll have to wait and see. Because they made a reference to it because she said I don't care about what the fans think, because she had like fan letters and all that type of stuff referencing that she deleted her. Well, it's not called Twitter anymore. It's called what, X now and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
X, yeah. Who cares? It's all the same thing. It's still the same app.
Then we had Gallus versus the family and a mystery partner. The mystery partner was Santos Escobar. This was a fun tag match. Eventually, the family hit Bada Boom Bada Bin on Mark Coffey for the win. I thought Gallus lost a bit too easily here. It should have been more of a struggle, but it just kind of seemed like Gallus got kind of jobbed out here. But whatever. What'd you think of this?
I liked it. I kind of knew it was going to be Santos. It wasn't going to be 2 times. It was
2 times is dead, bud. Come on, what are you talking about? Like,
they could resurrect him.
I don't know how, but they could.
It was fine. I mean, it's kind of obvious it was going to be Santos. It was way too obvious. At least for me, it was. I was like, about halfway through the show, I was like, it's Santos. And then when he walked out of the car, I was like, it's Santos. Like, it's definitely Santos.
Yeah.
And then he said it, and I was like, it's Santos.
It's Santos. Santos who? Santos Escobar. Then the show ends with Ilya Dragunov saying that he's gunning for Trick Williams, and he said that he's going to kick his ass next week. So, not a good day to be Trick Williams if you're,
No.
Yeah.
And he looked very heel.
Yeah, he did. So, I'd like to see him go heel. I think that'd be a nice change for him. I kind of hope he goes heel and faces Carmelo Hayes on TV, and it leads so that way we don't have to, it delays the Wesley Carmelo Hayes match a bit longer. So
we're getting it. We're getting it soon, though.
Yeah, but I liked this. I like this.
Getting that Wesley Carmelo Hayes on free TV, baby.
And they're gonna have like fucking Ilya Dragunov like interrupt the match too, type of thing. You know that's.
Oh yeah, he's not even gonna get a clean victory.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
And then Wesley versus Trick Williams on the pre-show. Of, No Mercy.
No, the dark match of not even the pre-show. That would be like on the dark match before the pre-show type of thing.
The dark match before the pre-show. They're not even good enough to be on the. He's not even good enough to be on the pre-show.
It'll be a level up taping, like, or the pre-show.
Not even level up. It's just completely in the dark.
The pre-show of Level Up.
Just completely dark. No lights on. No nothing.
No.
The darkest match.
No commentary either.
No commentary.
No
Nobody's
fan.
in the.
No, they just have a match like that.
Just Williams and Wesley in the darkest match.
That'd be awesome. What'd you give NXT?
It's
What'd you give NXT as a letter? I'm gonna give it a B-, but just like barely a B-.
yeah. I think it's a B- show. There's a lot of complaints, but it still overall was solid. It wasn't great. It's not how I would have personally have followed up on a pay-per-view. It definitely was lacking in a lot of areas, but yeah, it wasn't a terrible show.
It was not. I've seen worse NXTs. Like, go to the Go Home episode before Stand and Deliver. That was a bad one. So, but yeah, let's do some predictions for NXT next week. We're gonna have a Heritage Cup match, quote unquote, because Noam Dar's not even the champ, but Noam Dar's defending his counterfeit cup against Tyler Bate. Just for lulz, I'm going to pick Tyler Bate, because that'd be hilarious if you...
Tyler Bate, baby.
That's awesome that they're letting this happen. I want Tyler... Can you imagine like how awesome that would be? Tyler Bate fucking wins the cup and Noam Dar goes back into a vegetative state, and then they have to give him another cup. That's just... Again, I feel like they should just keep doing that. Every time he defends the cup now, he should just fucking lose it. Like...
He should. He jobber.
Yeah. Then we have other things. We're gonna have the North American title match. It's gonna be Dominic Mysterio defending against Dragon Lee. Dominic Mysterio's winning this, but I don't think you're gonna pick him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be Dum Dum.
Oh, you picked him! You picked him!
I didn't pick it.
Huh?
It's a Dum Dum.
Hey, you gave him his props today. You did say he was the one that drew the fans to the Great American Bash. You did say that. You're on record of saying that, so...
Because people want to boo him.
I feel like you're going to be going to a Raw soon to boo him, so...
Boo!
I feel like if you saw him in person, you'd just boo right in his face, too. Just boo! I feel like it would make it a song, dude. Just dance to it, like boo. I feel like I feel like you just follow them around and boo them too, if you were allowed to. Just boo. I feel like you would just keep doing it the whole time you saw him too. If you got to spend a day with Dominic Mysterio, you just boo him all day. Boo. You wouldn't even. You wouldn't even let him get a word in on it too. You wouldn't even let him say hi to you or anything like that too. If you went for a handshake, would you shake it?
I'd boo it.
Would you even point out and be like boo?
Yes.
Now, do you boo Rhea Ripley too, or do you is she fine?
I'd boo her too.
Because she's dating him?
Because she's ruined him.
Let's do more predictions. Axion's facing Mustafa Ali. I think Mustafa Ali's winning that. Who do you think's winning that?
Yeah, that's obvious. I think that's the North American match at No Mercy is Ali versus Dominic.
Yeah, that's fine. What about Ray versus Dominic and No Mercy? That could happen.
That would actually be great for the North American title.
Yeah, and I think like you'd want Ray to win that title. Be like,
Ray would win
because you think he's a good dad.
He's a great dad.
He's a great dad to Aaliyah anyway.
Leah's a perfect angel.
Yeah.
Look at that piece of shit.
Dom was a good set at one point. I don't know what happened. Like,
he got pussy whipped.
actually, literally, he did actually, because you remember that he got beaten up backstage, and then all of a sudden he just started getting weird. Like,
He started to like it.
I guess so.
Fucking weird, little weirdo.
If you think about it, he kind of looks weird now too. He looks like he's like not healthy anymore. Like he looks bad.
Oh, yeah. Like if you were fucking Rhea Ripley 30 hours a day.
Well, don't forget the dude did spend 30 minutes in jail. Like that does a lot to you. Like.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, 30 minutes in jail. Ooh man, that's really scary.
What do you think he did? What do you think he did that whole 30 minutes while he was in jail?
Stay on the wall.
So do you think when he fought that inmate, do you think he made up that story?
Oh yeah. Come on, look at him. Do you think he's telling the truth?
I don't think he's told the truth a day in his life.
He hasn't. It's obvious. Come on. Look at it. You think he spent 30 minutes in jail? Do you think that motherfucker had enough time to fight someone in 30 minutes?
Well, he's also been lying about the time he's been in jail too. Like,
Yeah, he was in jail for like 5 minutes.
what do you think he did? What do you think?
It's like the Simpsons meme with the grandpa. He puts the hat on, walks through the door, takes the hat off.
That's what it is. We have one more prediction: Von Wagner versus Braun Breaker. It's probably gonna be a no finish, but I'll pick Von Wagner because he's cool.
It should be Von Wagner because Braun Breaker should be on the main roster by now.
Hey, you know what? After that match, there'll be a report that Von Wagner's coming to the... No, sorry, not Von Wagner. Braun Breaker's coming to the main roster, and then he won't show up. We'll have another feud in NXT. That should be
We'll
like...
have another feud in NXT.
That should be like the running joke. Like, those reports he's going to the main roster, and he just never goes to the main roster. He should just never go there.
Yeah, reports of Braun Breaker going to the main roster, and then he just never goes.
Yeah. No, he should go. He should go there, and then be like, "I'm not staying here." I see the reports are true.
He did go because he's been to Raw twice.
No, but he should like go there and not stay there. Be like, I'm at the main roster. I'm leaving now. He just leaves.
Yes.
He just be like, yeah, I'm
Because
leaving.
he had a match on Raw against Dolph Ziggler, and then he showed up to Raw for a segment against Seth Rollins.
Yeah, and that's it. That was it. All right, so that's the end of this show. What a great episode of WWE Aftershock, the greatest episode ever. Chris's favorite episode because you got to talk about Cody for an hour and a half. I mean, that you were probably. I don't think you were able to contain yourself. You were probably like.
I was at attention for an hour and a half.
Yeah. You were loving it. You were loving your life.
I was.
Because you love Cody.
My hero.
I feel like you would give him a nice handshake if you saw him. And
nice firm. Hey, buddy.
I feel like too.
Hey,
I feel like too. If he main events WrestleMania next year, you're going to Mania.
I could. I could.
Because you know where Philly is, you can go right to Philly. Just be like, oh, going to.
But I don't know what Philly is though.
Then that's you buy WrestleMania tickets and then you don't know how to get there. You're just like, oh shit, how do I get there? I don't know how. Shit, I forgot how to get there. Oh well.
What's Philadelphia?
Yeah, you just completely miss it too. You know where everywhere else is, but Philadelphia, you're just like where is it? I don't know where it is.
What's Philadelphia?
But anyhow, yeah. So. Let's end the show. Is there anything you want to plug or promote before we end off this video, or are you good?
I will say this. I will just watch the Cody documentary for yourself. It's great. It's fantastic. It's heartwarming. It's emotional at times. It's a roller coaster of emotions, but it's fantastic.
I feel like you're watching it twice a day.
Maybe 7 times a day. Who knows?
That's a 2-hour document. I feel like one day you're just gonna watch it for 24 hours.
Just on loop. It's never gonna end in my house.
Yeah, and then your dad's gonna be like, "What are you? Did you just watch this documentary the other day?" And you're just gonna be
in the
like,
dark. It's gonna be complete darkness, and then by the time I leave, I'm gonna have a full bushy beard that's down to the floor.
and your dad's just gonna be like, "How many times did you watch this documentary?" You'll be like, 100. And your dad's gonna be like, "Yeah."
I don't know.
I feel like too, you're gonna know like every word that's spoken in that documentary by the time.
Every word.
You're gonna know
every fucking word. I'm gonna be able to recite a 1 hour and 57-minute long documentary, word for word.
Yep.
And do the exact same movements that they're doing.
Yep. You'll know every person that was on there too.
Every person that was on there. I'm gonna have the entire set up in my house.
You're gonna I feel like you're gonna like reenact it too. You're gonna do like a nice play for us about the documentary. I'm gonna
have the exact same thing. I'm gonna have how he walked through the desert and picked up the items. I'm gonna have that all over my house.
And your parents are just gonna, and your parents and your entire family are gonna be like, okay, this kid may be a bit weird. Like I feel like he needs some help.
He needs a lot of help.
What would happen if they said no more Cody Rhodes for you? What if he just went? They just can't. They said no more Cody Rhodes. Anytime he's on, you can't watch it. And and you can't watch past clips to get that fixed. No, you can't watch Cody Rhodes anymore.
That's the end of me.
Watching wrestling or just the end of you in general?
Just the end. It's the end of me. Shatter me.
Will you be shattered like a spider web type of shadow, or shatter like your body will just break in half?
I would just shatter like a machine.
Oh no! Will you break into like a million pieces? Just blow up?
Just a million little pieces.
Would we have to put you back together?
Yeah, I would have to be put back together, or else I'd be gone.
Would you just? And then what if we told you couldn't watch Cody again? Would you break again?
It'd just be a vicious cycle.
I bet you play as him as a video game every time you get a chance to. Like,
he's the only person I use.
By the way, he's in 2 video games.
I know he is.
In the same year, in 2 different companies.
It's a feat that no other man could pull off but him.
Well, and also the AEW department for delaying the game so fucking long.
He's a special man who deserves that special honor.
Tony Khan did not realize what he had.
He didn't realize it, and none of them did.
Do you think do you think Tony Khan misses him? Do you think he's laying in bed thinking like how much he screwed up
all night long? It's like that X-Men meme where it's like Wolverine's laying on the bed, and it's got the picture, and it's just Cody, and he has his hand over it, and he's crying.
Do you think everybody else misses Cody, or just Tony Khan?
Just Tony Khan.
There you go. Alright, as for my stuff, you can check out the Own the Talkinator channel, and you can check out CM Brothers, and you can check out this channel for all your good professional wrestling. And bad professional wrestling, because we cover bad professional wrestling.
Quite a bit.
So, not all wrestling's good, just, some of it's bad, like Shawn Michaels NXT. So that's pretty much it, guys, and we will talk to you guys later.
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as WWE content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.